to come as far as football?
Yeah, we're coming back.
Coming back. Tom Brady's coming back.
I think we knew this was going to happen now, didn't we?
The Tampa Bay Bucs, Super Bowl 55 champions.
Wait, no!
Evolution. Sports Talk Television live here nightly. All Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about on tonight's show. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Will you shut up and be quiet? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live nightly on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And as always, this show is brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For all your auto parts needs, it's Advanced Auto Parts. Of course, tell them Bucs Report, Peter Blake, and yes, the Sports Web sent you as we are getting ready to once again talk about your world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It never gets tiring, right? After they defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 31-9. So we'll try to take you inside of that boat parade, get you a little bit of highlights. More than anything else, definitely want to hear your phone calls because it hit me today. We'll have former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds. I know he already has that victory cigar ready to go. If I smoked, I would be smoking it with them. We'll also have some other guests here. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, and you just never know who's going to tune in. And, of course, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Get on the phone lines if you have a question for Ricky Reynolds. But without further ado, how do we start off the Sports Web? Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. So, without further ado, let's get on former Buccaneer great, Mr. Ricky Reynolds. Welcome to the Evolution. And I saw you get that cigar out right there as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win their second Super Bowl in franchise history by disposing of the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome to the Evolution tonight. How you doing, buddy?
I'm wonderful. I'm feeling great. It's great to sit here and at the end of the season and know that the Buccaneers are world champs and once again, so it's very exciting and we're celebrating.
I definitely think we're celebrating as Bucs fans, and it hit me today. It didn't necessarily hit me on Sunday night, even with me doing the post-game edition, even with me being right about that Super Bowl prediction. That's right. I'm going to continue to pat myself on the back because that's what I do here on the Sports Web, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. But it hit me today with seeing Bruce Arians speak and, of course, Jason Light, and, of course, seeing Tom Brady throw that video in itself, kind of risky, but that's why he's the greatest of all time. What did you think of the throw to the wide receivers in the other boat? Risky, huh? No risk it, no.
Yeah, that guy has so much confidence. He even throws the Lombardi trophy down the river, and completes the pass.
He
That was incredible.
really does. And to hear Bruce Arians talk to Ndamukong Suh, basically saying so many words, you're not going anywhere. Shaq Barrett proclaimed he's not going to go anywhere. So I guess looking at it, let's look at the game first, and then we'll look inside the future here. How surprised were you that this Buccaneer defense shut down Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs offense, holding them to 3 field goals? I mean, you didn't see this coming, right, Ricky?
No, I didn't. I predicted it would be 31-24. I figured it'd be back and forth a little bit, but I thought that they would prevail towards the end of the game. But yeah, I'm surprised how well they played. I figured KC would at least score, a couple of touchdowns, with the explosiveness that they have. And these guys just totally dominated, and it just hats off to them. They got better and better as the season went along, especially that second half of the season and that final stretch after they lost to the Chiefs. They really just tightened up and played very well. And Todd Bowles put together a great game plan. Every single one of those playoff games, those guys played very well, and he put together a real good plan for them. And those guys went out and executed. They played with a lot of confidence, lots of confidence, and it felt good. It felt good.
What did you see on film with watching this game? What was different? Of course, the obvious thing, the Bucs beat the Chiefs in dominating fashion, but what did they do differently this time that carried over from that second half of that Chiefs game in Week 12?
Well, I mean, number one is that, they took out Tyreek Hill in the vertical passing game. They didn't allow these guys to hit those big plays down the field, and that's what they do. That's what they live for, and that's how they, score so many big, points during the course of the season, is by hitting those big plays. And so by taking that away and making them have to earn every inch or every yard down the field, it's hard to do. It's hard to put together 10 and 15 play drives and score. And those guys just couldn't get it done, and hats off to Todd Bowles and company, because they put them in place, and they kept those safeties back too. The whole game long, they kept them back and would not let them throw the ball down the field. And that defensive line they just got after him, and that was the difference. He was running for his life, literally.
I mean, Pro Football Focus figured it out, Ricky. He ran for 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That seemed like what Mahomes was doing all night long. Stat of the day, 38 pressures compared to the Chiefs' 5. We kind of talked about that. That would be the matchup that you kind of look at. Everybody talks about, the outside targets and the quarterbacks and everything else, the skill positions. But at the end of the day, it's won and lost in the trenches. And, of course, the Chiefs had a disadvantage with missing an Eric Fisher, missing their right tackle. So they had replacement tackles, and you could see that defensive line really took over the game, the majority of it, right?
Oh, yes. They definitely dominated up front. I even saw them leaving some of the receivers in trying to help block, on those on the outside backers coming out, from the outside. And they were doing whatever they could, but it was just too much. And they kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And I even saw them blitz 2 corners at one time, which I was shocked. I was like, man, both corners came. And Todd Bowles, he sent everything at them, as far as game plan wise, and really did some interesting things. And it was great. They were ready to go.
With this effort, with this back end, and of course this linebacking core, is there any questions anymore about improvement, or can they get better? I mean, honestly, can Devin White get better? Can this back end get better, in your opinion?
Yes. They definitely can get better. All these guys can get better. They're young, and they're finally putting it together, along with the defensive coordinator and the game plan that he puts together. But individually, yes, they can get better. I mean, they're not perfect out there, so they do make mistakes. But these guys are just showing you the tip of the iceberg of what they can be. And by getting better, now you become, like possibly our 2002 defense, where they dominated for over a decade. Can you be that good? You can. If you keep enough guys together and allow these guys to grow together and to continue to play the way they are, they can dominate for a long time.
Save that thought because I want to get back to that in a moment. Now, Brady, of course, winning his seventh. I mean, clearly he's the greatest of all time, but this wasn't necessarily all on Brady. In fact, the game plan was more run oriented. This kind of was what their identity was in the postseason. They ran the ball more than they passed the ball. This seemed like a recipe for success going into the game because we knew that the Chiefs and that rush defense was susceptible, right?
Oh yeah, I think they ranked 22nd in the National Football League in run defense, and that was the smart thing to do, was to try to establish a running game, and that sets up your play action pass and to be able to hit it down the field. And these guys really did a good job of just executing and giving and taking what the defense was giving them, and playing smart. Brady made sure he took care of the football. And offensive line did a great job of protecting him and opening up holes in the running game. And they called a good game plan offensively, and mixed it up well. Mixed it up as far as the run pass play calls, and they did a great job.
How surprised were you, Ricky, that defensive line, namely with the Frank Clark and of course the Chris Jones, weren't more active? And also they weren't more effective, if you will. That offensive line, once again, shutting down people. And we talked about it, 38 pressures by the Bucs defense, only 5 by the Chiefs. That was the key to the whole season. If you protected Brady, you kept him upright, more than likely, not only do you save him from making throws he doesn't necessarily want to make, but also from injury. How surprised were you by that offensive line once again stepping up and playing to the level that we haven't seen in a long time?
Well, I think I wasn't as surprised by them as I was about our defense because of the performance that they've had during the course of these playoffs. They seem to get better and better during the course of the playoffs, and these guys played very well. And I was pretty confident that they were going to do a pretty good job up front. And they've been very consistent, throughout, like I said, the last part of the season. And so I wasn't surprised that they did a good job.
A lot of people will talk about the penalty situation. From what you saw with the pass interference penalties on that drive right before halftime, those were penalties. That's not the ref trying to help out the Bucs, right?
Yeah, there were penalties. There was one, maybe one call or two that could have been questionable. There was one, I think, in the end zone, holding on Mike Evans, and you could see the guy had his arms, around his waist. And I don't think he really pulled him or anything, but he did have his arms wrapped around him, and that's all the ref saw, and threw the flag, and could have gone either way because, like I said, I don't think he really disrupted anything with his route, but it looked from their point of view that he was holding on that call. And I think there was another one on the offensive line that it looked like he kind of took him down, but I think our D lineman was kind of falling, and he just kind of got his arm around him as he was falling. So, there was a couple that, they might not have had the call, but I think all in all, the officials did a pretty good job.
How surprised we're on with former Buccaneer great Mr. Ricky Reynolds here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. If you have a question for him, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. None of the big-time targets for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were really effective. Mike Evans had 1 catch. Chris Godwin had 2. Antonio Brown had a couple, but it was Rob Gronkowski, and it was the running game. I mean, this kind of shows you that their wide receivers don't necessarily have to have the greatest game of all time for them to be effective. How surprised were you once again that it was Rob Gronkowski getting the touches instead of the other guys on the outside?
I had a good feeling that Rob Gronkowski was going to have a game, because he was probably the least effective in the first 3 playoff games. And I figured, eventually he was going to have a coming out party, And he's done a great job, staying in, blocking, helping out in the run games and things of that nature. But I figured he would get a few touches in the Super Bowl and get a chance to make some plays, and he did. So I wasn't surprised by that. I expected him to get a few more balls, in the bowl game. And but I am probably a little bit of surprised that you didn't see Mike Evans or Godwin get a few more passes down the field. But like I said, they did a good job of just taking what the defense was giving them and just executing and trying to win.
All right, let's go out to Ed from Palm Harbor. You're on with yours truly, along with former Buccaneer great Ricky Reynolds. What do you have to say?
Hey, how's it going? It's the first time I've reached out to you till after the game.
You seem like you're calm. Are you okay here? You know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions. Kind of liven it up a little bit here. I feel like you're on Prozac or something.
Partying, man, since they won the Super Bowl, let me tell you.
So you're all partied out? I mean, it happened on Sunday, buddy.
Well,
it's only Wednesday.
I'm 51 years old, man.
Well,
I'm not as young as you.
Not that young, but okay. We'll go with that. We'll go with that. All right. So you have a question or a comment?
Ricky, I still got your signature, man. They used to have these pep rallies back when Ricky was playing, and I still got your signature, man.
But that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the Fan Fest, is it not? They used to have the Fan Fest in March.
They used to have Fan Fest, and they used to have pep rallies. I think this was at a mall, and they had the Bad Buck there.
Yeah, we had to get a chance to try to get more fans to come to the game. It wasn't that many fans back in the day.
My dad had season tickets, so we went to every game. I've been to every game since '76. So
nice, good stuff.
Anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys because and say that I wasn't surprised that the Bucs won, but I was surprised that there wasn't a little more out of the Chiefs' offense than there was, and that just goes to the credit to our defense. They did a great job doing a great job rushing Mahomes and keeping him under wraps the whole game. But I was just really surprised how they had dominated the game. I mean, they really dominated them. I've never seen one team dominate another team since back in 2002.
Well, let me ask you, Ricky.
Let
me ask you here, Ed and Ricky. Was this, in your opinion, was this more of an impressive performance than the 2002 defense, namely because it's Patrick Mahomes? He's a young quarterback. You have an explosive offense. And then if you look at the postseason overall, not only do you dispose of Mahomes, but also Drew Brees and, of course, Aaron Rodgers. In your opinion, Ricky and Ed, you can go ahead and comment after Ricky does. Do you feel like this is a more of an impressive defense at this juncture for what they did this year than that 2002 unit?
Well, from my side of it, it's hard to convince me that these guys are better than the 2002 team. Those guys were, very dominant. I mean, they made a ton of plays. They had a ton of, big superstars on their team that obviously are in the Hall of Fame and on their way to the Hall of Fame. So, I'm going to say that 2002 team, to me, is still more impressive than this team, even though that these guys, played very well. And I think what we saw was a team that really we didn't expect defensively. We didn't expect these guys to dominate like they did. And I think that probably impressed us more than actually expecting them to come in there and play at that level, to see them come in and dominate. So I think we were, excited about it, just happy about their performance and happy that they play on that level in that atmosphere, in that situation. And I think that's what probably impressed us the most.
Ed, what was your feeling on that? Is it more impressive to see this defense do what they did against the Chiefs and throughout this postseason, or is it still 2002 and everybody else?
Well, it's definitely still 2002 because, like Ricky was saying, they had a lot more star power on that team.
Man, Hall of
I guess
Famers
the most
too.
impressive part,
right.
the most impressive part about this year's team is there really isn't any potential Hall of Famers yet. That blares out at you. Although Devin White, I think, is going to probably be. I'll go ahead and say it. He's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, if he continues on this track, that's certainly a
He's
possibility.
definitely, if he stays, if he keeps playing the way he is, I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction for next year. If the Bucs keep this team, and the way they keep this same team, they're able to re-sign all these players, which will be a monumental feat. They're gonna get back to the Super Bowl and do it again. They're gonna repeat.
All right,
So
let me go in and fire those cannons right here, Ed, for you. Appreciate the call, and do me a favor really quick. Well, he's gone already. So, this is from Bruce Arians today at the parade. I cannot take credit for any of this. We have the best coaching staff in the NFL, and we damn sure got the best players in the NFL. All right, and anybody that says run it back, bull spit. That's Kansas City's bull spit. We're going for two, and we ain't stopping. We're going to keep the band together. They know how to win. You beat every damn thing we lined up against you. You did it the right way. We did it the right way. We're physically kicked their ass. Again, 211 days until that happens. In your opinion, first and foremost, can they re-sign most of the players they have? I asked a question to the fans last night. Give me 3 players that would be your top priorities that you would re-sign out of Shaq Barrett, Rob Gronkowski, Levante David, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, Ndamukong Suh. I mean, there's definitely Chris Godwin, of course. Who are 3 players out of that bunch that would be your top priority? And to that question, do you think they can sign the majority of these players so they can possibly repeat again?
Ooh, boy, it's going to be tough. I mean, a lot's going to depend on the players, because some of these guys can, get offered probably a lot more money than, what the team is going to offer them. So it's up to them if they want to try to come back or not at a, lesser fee. So, like I said, it's up to them. But, guys like Chris Godwin is a guy I think that we probably need to keep. Shaq Barrett is another one. You got it. I mean, he's still young, and you got to have that pass rush, that thing up front there. And who else do I say? I'm leaning towards Levante David. I think I want to keep that linebacker core intact. Even though he's getting a little long in the tooth there. He's getting a little older. Mm-hmm. I think if you can keep those guys together, especially the way this defense is playing, that would help a whole bunch. That would.
Okay, now
you say top 3. That's what I'm looking.
I mean, that was the majority of a lot of the fans. A lot of the webheads thought the same thing. Now, this from TMZ Sports from Adrian Peterson. That would definitely be something I'm interested in. If they want me to be a part of it, I'll be a part of it for sure, because I'm definitely trying to add a trophy to my resume. Adrian Peterson, let's say the Bucs basically price themselves out of Leonard Fournette. He decides to go somewhere else because the asking price could be $5 to $8 million. Is Adrian Peterson somebody that the Bucs should be interested in as a change of pace back for a victim of volume in a Ronald Jones?
If you're asking me, I wouldn't be, he wouldn't be big on my list. I think AP's kind of run his course. He's still a decent player, but he's not the player as a Leonard Fournette right now. A guy that's explosive and can catch well out of the backfield, and he has more of an upside, at this time. Whereas Adrian, Peterson can, he can give you some reps, but he's a guy that's like I said, he's older, and he's only going to give you so much.
Now, there was a report from our own Joshua Cole Allen, a Bucs report, that says the Bucs in this organization are working on possibly an extension or a restructure for Tom Brady. We talked about this, I believe, last week, of how long Tom Brady can play. The way he played in that Super Bowl, it seems like he could play forever. Is this smart by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And do you buy, once again, Brady playing longer than 45 years old?
Yes, from what I've seen, you definitely want him to sign another year because he's going to play a little longer. He's looking really good. He's taking great care of his body, and I'm impressed. He's done an outstanding job, and I think he'll be around for a couple more years. And you want to sign him to an extra year or so, and try to help out on that that salary cap. See if you can lower it a little bit and spread the money around.
All right, going back to the webheads here. Let's go ahead and read some of these comments before we get you out of here. Damn shame I missed the boat parade under the water. Champs, baby. Let's go. I'm not going to say the other one. Thank you, Bucs, for playing your damn hearts out for us. Vernon says it's so awesome to hear Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike again, real travesty if the Lombardi landed in the water. It's Tom Brady, man. It's never going to happen. That guy is just flawless. You can. Ben Israel says, are we still Super Bowl champs? They are, Ben. Sorry, Chiefs D are a bunch of goons. Mike says, I had a nip of rum and a glass of Jack and margarita. Okay, good. Justin says, Brady has handled enough trophies. He knew what he was doing, and then I saw him back on land. Maybe not. Google that one. We're not going to show that one. Pretty funny stuff. But look, the guy deserves it. I mean, he's basically played at a high level all year long. He's been determined. This team has gone through the pandemic, off-season workouts. They missed preseason. So they deserve to have a good time and have fun because they put the hard work in, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, like you said, for Tom to come over to Tampa and to be able to, just kind of lock in and study that playbook and grind as often as he did, during the course of the whole year. There were times where, we wondered if he'd seen the playbook at all, with the miscommunications that he and some of the receivers were having. But it was just a working process. And, like you said, it was a lot of hard work to get to that point to where these guys can, be the world champs.
Absolutely. Bring your passion, bring your Super Bowl rings. Let's go, Bucs family. I kind of like that. Pass rush cover 2. I mean, did you see a lot of cover 2 with keeping the safeties back? That's weird. There you go. Okay. Drake says, work champs, buddy. Sorry, I'm at work, but wanted to send some celebration and love. Fire those cannons as we shout right there. Mike says, of course, Mahomes' mom acted like, okay, I'm not going to read that. And accused the refs of trying to help Brady when, in fact, most of the flags called on the Chiefs D were legitimate. We talked about that. Brandon Spike says, good game. Sean says, Super Bowl, Lenny. Mike says, Fournette helped put the game on ice. I mean, again, an impressive performance by Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny. If you're the Bucs and you're in Jason Light's position, are you trying to bring him back, or are you letting him test those free agent waters, going with the Ronald Jones and going with the Keyshawn Vaughn?
Yes, I'm trying to bring Leonard Fournette back. He showed me a lot, during the course of the season, especially in the playoffs. He still has a lot left in the tank. Can catch the ball. He can protect. Pick up those blitzers. And he runs well, he shows some spin moves, and, he can, take it to the house and things of that nature. Yeah, I'm bringing him back.
All right. Good stuff. I like it. Let's see here. So we read that one. Fournette helped. Absolutely. Justin says, I yelled at the TV for 3 plays, the pass to Haig and 2 runs after, but it all worked out. What was your feeling on that sequence of plays? Somebody told me, in fact, Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats, What's Cooking in the South, felt like Leonard Fournette should have been in on that drive instead of a Ronald Jones. Is that how you saw it? I mean, you had Villa as your lead blocker there. You throw to Joe Haig, it hits him right in his face mask. He drops it. You go for 4th down. Should Fournette be in that situation, or do you think they had it right with a Ronald Jones?
Well, I mean, not necessarily Fournette. I think Jones was capable of, getting the ball in there. Kind of failed on that 4th down. Maybe if he would have dove, try to go over the top, he would have had a better chance than, kind of putting his head down and trying to, bulldog his way through there. But, in that situation, they just got to get in. The offensive line, has to fire off, and they have to get more push, and I think it wasn't just Jones's fault, but I think you got to look at the offensive line as well as a team. They just didn't get it done at that during that time.
And it was Vea. I mean, you thought Vea was going to clean house or clear it out. So credit to where credit is due. That Kansas City defender stood him up and did a good job. I got my raise the red flag tee along with my Super Bowl hat. Christopher Cole says, I said it at the beginning of the year that our defense was going to shock the world, and they did, starting in the playoffs with the Saints game. Let's go, Bucs. Rick H says, Ben, we will be Super Bowl champs until at least next February. Laugh out loud. Our current defense gave up less points. I mean, that's kind of been – I'm going to wait. I'm going to tease this because you know where I'm going with it. Billy says 2002 defense created the Tampa 2, but both defenses are awesome. Pac-Man 504, big facts. Let's go out to Jason. Yes, sir. Billy says all of them. Justin says Fournette earned a payday somewhere. Pac-Man 504, Shaq, CG, and David should be everybody's top 3 who you want back. Jason says, do you think we have that camaraderie that keeps the team together? Could there be some taking of a hometown discount, if you will? We've already heard about Mike Evans possibly restructuring, already Tom Brady. So could some of these players that you want back, namely a Godwin or a Barrett, take less money because it is the Tom Brady effect?
Yes, they definitely could. And like I said before, it's up to the players. They're going to need to decide. Hey, if we want to do this again, this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to not take as much money as we could in order to try to run it back. And I think you will get some players doing that.
All right, Rick says Bucs have the 5th most cap space, and Brady and Evans said they would restructure to free up more money. Jason says, because I've seen it throughout the years. Jason again, at least the greats. Billy says, crash and snatch defense, the Gravediggers, as Carlton Davis was giving the nickname there. Dustin says, I've been walking around like Ric Flair all week. Go Bucs. Woo! I know you guys want to do that, so you can. Yes, sir. Jason says, I do. Billy says, Brady can play till he wants to retire. Justin says, I see James White coming to play with Ronald Jones III. Brian Pearson, the Troll King, on here tonight. They are Super Bowl champs for the next 7 months, and then we start all over again. Of course, Brian, you'll be a Saints fan. Pac-Man 504, I hope it wasn't the liquor talking. I hope BA kept his word and will sign all the key players back. Mark says, do JPP and Sue finish their careers in Tampa? Any chance they look to go elsewhere? What would the market be? Believe JPP has another year. Now, Sue, that's totally different. Is Sue a player that could move on? I heard Bruce Arians say he ain't going nowhere, but of course, that's just talk. At the end of the day, it's all about the mucho dinero, and we know Sue wants to make some money. So could Sue be a possibility of moving on somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, many of these guys could be possible that they could move on, and Sue has made quite a bit of money already. So if he wants to win more championships, he may look to stay in Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in that position at this point, that Tom Brady and you have a collective unit and a young defense. Ricky, would you stay on this team, or would you try to test free agency out and see how much money you could get?
Well, I mean, like I said, if I've made as much money as him or some of these other guys have made, I'm probably trying to win another championship. You sign another 1-year deal, get something decent, and sit here and go for it again, because Tampa will be in the playoffs and they will be in the running to try to win another one.
I agree. All right, let's read the rest of these comments and we'll get you out of here for the night. Billy says, great game plan offense and defense, kept the Chiefs all balanced on both sides of the ball. It showed 22-point beatdown. Bucs left no doubt about who the champions are this year. Jason says, and what will it take to bring him back? I mean, possibly $6 million. I mean, that's what he kind of took this year. So we'll see. I agree with Rick Hughes. Rojo may have a little bit more speed, but he doesn't have the power that playoff Lenny has. Short yardage run play should have gone to Lenny. Eric Scott says, isn't it great that the Tampa 2 came full circle, getting us to our first Super Bowl, winning us our second? It's called Tampa 2 for a reason. Were they running that Tampa 2, or was it just a cover 2? Because, of course, explain the difference to the guys out there who don't understand what the main difference is between a cover 2 and a Tampa 2.
Well, they did some stuff that was a little bit different to where their safeties at times would get deep. In the Tampa 2, the safeties would get very deep, and they would really help out all across the field. But sometimes our safeties would only get so much depth so that they can help out on, Kelsey and some of those guys trying to, make plays in the middle of the field. And so they were really helping there. And then if they were on Tyreek's side, that particular safety would be over the top of Tyreek just to make sure that he was covered. Whereas the other safety would, be helping out, look not as much depth, but helping out in the middle of the field, looking for Kelsey and some of those guys trying to come across the middle. So it was a little different. And they also played some 2-man along with it, where these guys played man-to-man underneath with the safeties over the top. So they mixed up that quite often.
Were they a little bit more physical with Tyreek Hill and the other wide receivers? And do you think that was the difference in this game?
Oh, yeah. I think they were physical across the board. The defensive backs, got their hands on the receivers. They tried to reroute them and get in their business pretty much all game long. And that helped to slow those guys down as they were going down the field. And it made Mahomes hold the ball, and that's what you wanted to do. And while these guys were getting, down the field, they had, tight coverage, by the defensive backs. And then all of a sudden you had a safety over the top. So he couldn't throw it, down the field, over the top because he was worried about those safeties. And so he ended up running a lot.
All right, good stuff. I'll read the rest of these comments, and then I got the main question for the night here. Vea, as a fullback, he would have hammered it in the goal line there. Eric Scott says, need to get some of that TB12 avocado tequila. Well, Tom had a little bit too much today. We'll just say that. Who in the draft is going to make us better and what position? I'm not ready for the draft yet. So, Jason, hold off on that. You guys are talking about Adrian Peterson. He's washed up. Eric Scott says, thoughts on the virtual Lombardi right before kickoff. Who was that actor? I don't think there was an actor. I think it was just, again, like a virtual thing, a virtual hologram. I don't know. It's just funny how they do it. What do you think about us being ranked number 2 for next? I don't think they're ranked number 2. They should be number 1. I think anybody who's ranking Tampa Bay number 2 obviously didn't watch the game or have some bias, of course, as we saw with the national media, as always. It was a hybrid Tampa 2, says Christopher Cole. Steven says, if we had to get rid of a running back, trade Rojo. Lenny has better hands and a better blocker. No. Don't trade Rojo. Stop it. So it was a flexible Tampa 2. They were really physical with every team that played in the playoffs. Now, speaking of that, I'll get you out of here on this, and we'll get you on here again. I know we had you on here every week, but we're going to give you a little break because the season's over with, but it doesn't necessarily mean we can't get you on for free agency in the draft and whatever else. But if it came down to it, if the 2020 Tampa Bay Super Bowl champions met the 2002 Super Bowl champions, who wins and why? Give me some of these matchups of who wins this game.
Man, yeah, that is a tough one there. That is a tough one. Yeah, just because there were some good teams, and honestly, I'm gonna say the 2002 team would be the winner. And I think I hear you. I think that defense is way better, that much stronger, across the board, and a lot more consistent. And all in all, and they had a solid offensive crew, with Allstott, they could run the football, they could throw it, Keenan McCardle and Keyshawn Johnson, and they had players, they had a lot of fine players on that team. So I would probably pick them.
Do you think that team could run the ball with Allstott and Pittman? Of course, Pittman goes for 124 yards versus that Raiders defense. They weren't nothing to write home about, but they weren't necessarily a consistent running game. Allstott definitely was the X factor for that running game. In your opinion, do you think they could run the ball versus this vaunted number 1 rush defense this year?
It would be tough. It would be tough with Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea in the middle. I mean, those are some big boys in there. So it definitely would be very hard to do. But if you have a chance to get him, past the front line, like Allstott, look out, because he was running over some linebackers and some defensive backs back there. He was strong. He was really strong. So like I said, they had a team that could throw the ball as well, and you probably have to use that a little bit to kind of open up the running game.
I love to see the matchup because you look at the outside, right? You have Keenan McCardell, you have Keyshawn Johnson, you have Joe Jairvicious and Ken Dilger and Ricky Dudley. But you feel like this defense with Sean Murphy-Bunting and Carlton Davis and, of course, Jamel Dean and Devin White and Levante David could match up beautifully. I think the X factor at the end of the day, I'm sorry, would be Tom Brady. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. You can talk about all the Hall of Famers on 2002, but at the end of the day, Tom Brady is the ultimate X factor. And I never thought I would say that because 2002's defense was one of the best teams I've ever seen. I think they're the greatest defense of all time, not only with that year, but 99 with longevity. If you stack them up versus the Steel Curtain or any other defense before and after, their numbers are just ridiculous. And the reason why they don't get enough pub is because they didn't win more Super Bowls. Agree with that?
No, I always take a great defense over an offense. Always. I mean, because, those great defenses, I don't care what offense you put in front of them, they dominate, and that defense was dominating. And, I mean, they just get turnovers after turnovers. Those guys made a lot of big plays, and I would take them. Tom Brady would have a rough time. I'm telling you. Warren Sapp will be coming around that corner talking big trash. You know it.
Yeah, and Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and John Lentz and Rondé Barber and Brian Kelly.
Simeon Rice.
Oh yeah. And wow, it would be a heck of a matchup. But I love to see it, but it'll never. In your opinion, first and foremost, I don't know if we talked about John Lynch because I think he made the Hall of Fame. John Lynch making the Hall of Fame. And this defense overall, are they one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time? Because you look at that 10-year span, Ricky, they were ranked top 5, top 3 consistently. Do they not get enough publicity because they didn't win enough Super Bowls or more Super Bowls?
Yes, they definitely don't get enough publicity. They were a defense that dominated, like you said, for probably over a decade, and very consistent, and they don't get enough because they didn't win enough Super Bowls, and that's mainly because they just didn't score enough points, offensively, and they have been overlooked. A great defense. I mean, I would take them any day of the week. They were very consistent. Like you said, Sapp and them would say, "Give us 17 points and we'll win." Yeah. We're gonna keep them under 17. Give us 17. That's why I say I would take that defense.
Look at your crystal ball here. Free agency or draft, especially draft. Where do you see the biggest need for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team at, if there's any?
Well, I mean, I want to continue to work probably with the defensive front. I mean, I don't know how many guys are going to come back. Maybe, an edge rusher or something. It just depends on what we have. But you want to make sure you still are able to get some pressure on the quarterback. We have plenty of help in the secondary. All those guys are young, coming back. Linebackers are pretty good. Levante Davis getting a little long in the tooth. And the only other area I would say is you would look at is maybe the offensive line. But I think those guys have played well. So I would go defense.
Okay. All right. I like it. Of course, a Buccaneer grade here, Mr. Ricky Reynolds, former corner here. Mr. 29, you love him. You got to have him. And we'll definitely have him back here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. Go ahead, get that cigar out, my friend. Thanks a lot for your time as always, and we'll see you soon. All right, boss?
All right, you guys take care. Enjoy it.
Good stuff. There you go. Mr. Ricky Reynolds on. Let's go ahead and read these comments, and then I will get my professional handicapper on, Mr. Harry the Greek. Open phone lines. I mean, this is what I hear right now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Super Bowl champions. I mean, we're acting like they're 5-11 or something. I mean, come on, man, pump it up a little bit. And it kind of hit me today because I've been kind of down in the dumps a little bit. You know, Bills do that. The other job does that. Stupid people do that to you, but you can't let that happen. You got to look at perspective. What's the perspective? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are Super Bowl champions. What's the perspective? More than likely, they're going to get most of these players back. Ask, and you shall receive. Ed, using your second call, welcome to the Evolution. Turn down your phone.
I turned down my TV.
Okay, go for it. What's up, man?
I did it.
All right.
Hey, calling you back because I heard the crickets, man. There's a lot to talk about here about the Bucs. I'm surprised you're not getting more phone calls. Let's talk about the fact that they won an 8-game, or no.
Yeah, 8-game winning streak. Yes.
They won an 8-game winning streak.
Yes.
Yes.
Fire the cannons for that.
Any winning streak, let alone an 8-game.
Right.
So we can talk about that. And we can also talk about the fact that today I watched the boat parade.
Correct.
And I watched what all the players were saying. They all said they want to come back.
Sure. You believe them? You take them at their word?
I think that most of them will probably come back. The only one I'm worried about is Godwin.
Okay.
Godwin's going to get an ungodly amount of money thrown at him.
Right.
So it's going to be hard to get him to stay. But the rest of them, I think there's a chance because a lot of them have already made some money. So like the Donovan student, he's made a lot of money in his career already. And I think they could get him back. And I think I'm pretty sure. What's that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure they could probably get David to come back. And I'm pretty sure they might be able to get Shaq Barrett to come back. But it'll be tough to see what's going on. It just depends on how much money's thrown at him, I guess, at the end of the day. But the restructuring of the Brady deal, he also wants to play another couple years, I think, and at least one more year, if not two more.
You okay with that?
And,
are you okay with that?
Oh,
okay.
Definitely.
You're ready? Okay. All right. So you're
Why
embracing it. Okay, good.
Yeah, if he wants to stay 5 more years, that's fine with me. That means another 5 Super Bowls for the Bucs.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's certainly a possibility, right? I mean, I don't know about another 5 Super Bowls, but anytime you got Tom Brady at the controls, you feel good about it because of his attitude, because of his leadership, because of the undeniable fact that anytime you have him out there, you feel like you have a chance to win and you have a chance to dominate because of that competitive fire. And those players believe in that. They do. Look at them. They're wearing shirts from when he was drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're wearing this week. That's how much they love the guy.
AB said he's not going anywhere. So,
well, we'll see how that works out. But I think AB wants to be here because Tom Brady's here and because he feels like Tampa Bay gave him that opportunity. So
no, I'm talking about BA also said he wants to be here. BA said
BA wants to be here. AB wants to be here. BA wants to go for 2. You heard him today.
Definitely.
I don't want to run it back like Kansas City. That's bull spit. That's Kansas City's bull spit. We're going for 2. We're going for 2, and we ain't stopping. We're going to keep this band together. They know how to win. You beat every damn thing we lined up against you. You did it the right way. We did it the right way. We physically kicked their ass. That's to Kansas City.
Yeah.
That's shade, but that's the truth. It is.
You can say what you want when you win. So.
Absolutely. What can Kansas City say? Nothing. All right.
I mean, they can't say nothing about it. But the other thing is that I think that when you compare the 2 defenses and who would win, I think that definitely the 2002 would win because they would definitely they would make life a living hell for Brady. He would not.
That's certainly possible. I think it's certainly possible with all the Hall of Famers that this team has. Absolutely. I tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah. So to end the story today, I think that I heard some slack about this on YouTube, not on Facebook, but on YouTube.
Right.
That it was a rigged Super Bowl.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Because every Super Bowl that has Tom Brady in it is rigged, or they're cheating, or some other mess. Right.
Yeah.
But if Kansas City
Just
would have
bunch of
won, it
haters.
wouldn't have been rigged. It would have been, oh, Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. He's the future GOAT. This is such a great team. We have to compare them to the New England Patriots. Hogwash. Come on. Enough of that junk. Nonsense. They didn't say it was rigged last year, did they? You could have obviously said it was rigged last year, right? The 49ers are up by 10 points in the fourth quarter, but it's called competitive sports. That's what it's called. It's called playing the game.
Sunday.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. So
any given Sunday.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else?
No, other than the fact that you've done a great job this year.
Thank you.
I'm happy to have been a part of the show, and
appreciate that.
I hope that we have future shows together.
We do
in the future.
We will.
And other than that, you have a great day, and I hope. And people need to get out their butt and call you, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you, Ed. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons for you right there. Thanks a lot for the call, and let's keep on reading these comments from the webheads here. All right, let's see. National, Jason, absolutely, 2002. Justin says, I say this year's team. Jason says, so much communication between the line and secondary. Jason says, go Bucs. Billy says, X Factor is Tom Brady. Absolutely agree. Let me go out to Rick Hughes from the cheap seats. What's cooking in the South? What do you have to say, my friend?
It hit me today, Peter. I think today's the day it sunk in.
That's what I'm saying. I watched the parade. I watched Tom Brady. I watched Mike Evans. I watched a bunch of kids. I watched a bunch of guys that deserve to celebrate. And anybody judging them, by the way, shut up, please. Good. For the love of God, let the guys have a good time if they want to. Let them have a good time.
This is full well. This is where it all, of course they're going to hate on us. We're the champs.
Right.
What do you think? Listen, man, this comes with the deal.
That's it.
So it's all good. You know what? This is, I guess, the way I've decided to view the haters this year and all the talk like that. It's not going to bug me. I'm going to relish it because the only reason they're doing it is because we're champs. We've not heard this stuff, in the last, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So, this is awesome. Yeah, please keep talking. Please. I want to hear this hate talk for a long, long time.
Exactly. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes' mom coming out and talking, I mean, that's fine. She's emotional. I get it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. And Tyrann Mathieu was saying he couldn't repeat what Tom Brady was saying, all this other nonsense. I mean,
thank you, Michael Irvin, by the way,
right,
for coming out and clarifying.
Exactly.
No. No.
Right. And I'm not going to even go into that subject. Right. I just mentioned it because I felt like it was a very cryptic tweet, which led people to say, oh no, did he say something? And then you have all these sports talk shows saying, oh, Tom Brady said something that was unnecessary. And it's like, no, that's not what we need to focus on or talk about. We need to talk about the game itself. We need to talk about the components. We don't need to talk about what was said, what's not said. He said, she said garbage that seems to cloud up sports these days. I hate it. I really do.
Kansas City doesn't know how to lose. It's like they forgot this team doesn't know how to lose. Like the Bucs know how to lose.
Right.
Mike Evans and all these guys, they know how to lose. They've done it for years.
Right.
Kansas City with, they got all these new young guys who don't know how to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And, today was, this week has been a slap in their face, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, though, to be honest with you, the one I'm most disappointed in the whole group out of all of it is Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
The guy, come on, man. Now, I guess I shouldn't be disappointed. I mean, it's not like the guy's got a history of being, an upstanding model,
Well, to his credit, he's
grew up like him.
Yeah, he's done a good job of keeping his nose clean ever since he got to the National Football League. I get it. He had lots of problems coming out of college football, which is why his draft stock dropped to number 3, third round pick. But he's a semi-talented player. He got very emotional. I get it. But you bit off a little bit too much than you could chew. I mean, with going after
on the field.
Right.
I don't care about that. I mean, I'm, good. Brady went back and threw it back in his face and all.
Right.
That's great. And that's awesome. But that's just on the field stuff. And I don't care. That's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me think of of Sapp and Favre. So I don't mind the talking back and forth and John back and forth and all that. That's kind of the fun part of football.
Sure.
But it's the stuff he said afterwards that bothers me. And that, Honey Badger don't lie. Well, apparently he does.
Right.
So
exactly.
I mean, it's look, ultimately, there's a reasonable shot. Let's call it that. There's a reasonable shot. We'll see these guys again. And what we have to make sure is that it's not, I hear Derek Brooks in my head saying, we'll be back. And you've got to make sure you don't allow that to happen to your team.
Right.
And you got to make sure you go in there with the same mentality next year. And this is what I love about Brady. Brady, nothing made me happier than seeing Brady being held up by Blaine Gabbert.
Oh, that was him. I thought that was Alex Guerrero, but you're right. I think it was Blaine Gabbert. You're exactly right.
Gabbert.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's why he's his backup quarterback. I mean, that's
exactly. And
that's the reason why Gabbert is the backup quarterback. He's backing up his quarterback, even in a situation. I mean, he kind of looked like his significant other at that point, taking him out of the bar, and that's okay.
Yep.
At least he made sure he got home all right.
Yeah,
probably in
awesome.
his limo.
I mean, yeah, it was awesome, and I thought it was fantastic. And
right.
I heard some people saying, "How come Brady didn't talk at that conference?"
Yeah,
at the party. I think that was a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea to keep him off the mic.
Him and Gronk off the mic.
Right, exactly. Too much partying, but really not too much partying. They deserve to party.
Absolutely.
I saw Brady getting down with the guys. That was great. Yeah, he was
smiling.
He was turning up. That's as the kids would say. Yeah, definitely.
You didn't see him smile all year. You saw him focused, laser focused, serious. You saw that from him all year.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the comment after the NFC Championship game? Why are you crying? We're not done yet.
Right.
Well, it was like, okay, let it loose, fellas. I mean, now we're done.
Yeah.
But you know what? The funny thing is this: give it a couple of days, and they're all getting a text message this week from Brady saying, "All right, guys, buckle down. Let's go."
Yep. That's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be LFG from Tom Brady.
Yep.
What were your thoughts on Bruce Arians' comments providing shade to Kansas City? This is what he had to say again. I cannot take credit for any of this. We have the best coaching staff in the NFL. We damn sure got the best players in the NFL, all right? And anybody that says run it back, bull spit, that's KC's bull spit. We're going for two, and we ain't stopping. We're going to keep this band together, and they know how to win. You beat every damn thing we lined up against you. You did it the right way. We did it the right way. We physically kicked their ass.
What do I think about it? I mean, I was listening to it, and I was jacked up listening to it.
Right.
I mean,
that's what it hit me, because it's Bruce Arians, and here's a guy that, he's overwhelmingly happy. He's talking about it. He had a couple Bud Lights. Let's just put it out there. He was definitely drinking Jason Light. Put out the F word there a couple of times. I mean, it was funny because the local TV station, they had no censors at all. So you're hearing the S word, you're hearing the F word, unless that was online. Maybe it was online. I don't know. I was watching online and I heard it. So
yeah, I was watching online.
Yeah. So but
it just, to me, it cracked me up because
right. No filter.
Okay. I hear him say, "You're coming back, your ass is coming back," or things like that.
Sure.
And all that. And that's great to hear. And I hope that it's true. There are other people involved. He doesn't get to make that call. He's not writing the checks or setting the salary cap. I know this team's going to be just fine next year. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. They're already knocking on the door. It's amazing to me, Adrian Peterson coming out saying he wants to come to Tampa. They're already knocking on the door.
Sure they are.
It's just the beginning.
Yep.
So we're going to listen, man, this was not a one and done thing, guys. This is not, we got a shot next year, and, we could be facing the same team next year.
Yep.
And, this could be, I mean, get ready, buckle up, because we're in for a ride next year, big time, and this team's going to be better. We're seeing this team hit its stride right now, and we're seeing everybody start figuring out their roles. I do think, if I had to guess, this is just a guess.
Sure.
I think they'll lose Fournette. I think a whole lot of people are going to go ahead, and I think there are a lot of players who had fun this year and just loved playing this year more than ever before.
Right.
And I do think you're going to have a lot of players willing to restructure and do some different things. And the team will look, a few years down the road, you're going to run into a New Orleans type situation with the cap. I can deal with that.
Sure.
Okay. Let's make this run. Let's have this fun. We'll deal with it later. But right now, let's do what we got to do to get as many of these guys back as possible.
Yep.
I think Levante David is signaling about as clearly as possible he'll take a team-friendly number. I think you're gonna see it from a lot of the different players. I'm not quite sure what to think about Chris Godwin, in the sense that I don't know. I always hate it when people say they're reading body language and things like that. But he didn't, I don't know if it's any different with him or not. I don't know.
Well, he may want to stay with Mike Evans, but of course he was saying he also needed a new phone, because I guess Scotty Miller dropped his phone in there and he was shouting out to Verizon, and Mike Evans was trying to sell it by saying, yeah, this is one of the best wide receivers in the league. So those guys are all hanging out together. I would think he would have some interest in coming back with playing with the greatest of all time and playing with the Mike Evans and a Scotty Miller and, of course, an Antonio Brown. But who knows? Again,
that also may be,
sure.
Hey, you want to go cash in? You want to go get your paycheck? Let me help out my brother and pump him up so that teams will pay him more.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean,
certainly
there's a lot
possible.
of ways to look at that. So I hope we get Godwin back. I am absolutely not concerned at all about the decisions this coaching staff and front office make.
Sure.
I've never been more confident in my life to say, yeah, I'll handle it. And, if somebody leaves and you think, oh, no, they got something figured out already.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't think that's true, just remember how stressed we were over the offensive line and having no depth.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Good stuff, Rick Hughes from the Chief Seats. What's cooking in the South? You'll be on tomorrow night, correct?
No, I will be on Saturday night.
Saturday night. You'll be on Saturday night. I keep on thinking you're on Thursday. You're not.
Saturday night and then Sunday night. Saturday night, what's cooking in the South? Sunday night, live from the Cheap Seats. Buckle up. It's a ride. And, it is. I'm looking forward to it. You know why? Because we're world freaking champs.
Yes. Thank
we're
you.
The Super Bowl champs.
Yes. All right, my friend. Go ahead and give me a Ric Flair woo really quick. Come on. Woo! There you go. Good stuff, Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. What's cooking in the South? Saturday and Sunday night here live on Bucs Report. Thanks a lot for your time. All right, boss?
Have a great one, my friend. Have fun talking.
Absolutely. Absolutely, my friend. Always have a good time. Greatest, says Jason. Billy says Warren played against Brett Favre. Absolutely. Mike says beating franchises that competed in the first Super Bowl for the George Halas and Vince Lombardi trophies, legend status. Sitton says go Bucs. Jason says I've been pumped. Ben says Super Bowl champs, baby. Absolutely. Ryan says I don't have to be a troll today. Brian Pearson is here to do the job. Jason says go Bucs again. Ben says we're only going to get better and better. So pumped to run it again. Justin says franchise tag on Godwin. Jason says yes, Godwin. Billy says what's happening with OJ Howard, still under contract, coming off an injury. We'll see what happens. We might have to rage or release a defensive player. I think that's what you're saying. Let's give it to Mike for talking about giving up less money to bring players back. Absolutely. Mark says, absolutely love that we're not talking about the shortfalls in the kicking game. Suckup was huge in this playoff run. Re-sign him immediately. There's another guy. Go Bucs. Jason says, ha. Jason again. Patrick didn't have a single touchdown. Jason, not by default. Definitely tried. Mark says Sapp versus Brady. Would have absolutely loved to have that. Got to say, I'm not sure that Brady has ever gone up against the likes of him. Agree with that. Fire the cannons as we shout. LFG Buck says Jason. Billy says Twinkle Toes Mahomes all season. Our receivers have defenders on their backs. Evans needs a special saddle for the defenders. Chiefs had a lot of holding penalties that didn't get called. Best penalty we got was for taunting. I love that. Leave Matthew alone, says you can. Chris says Shannon Sharp and Nick Wright are the biggest jokes. It's painful to watch. Their hate blinds them. I agree with that. In fact, Dan Patrick called him Nick wrong, so I kind of like that name. True that, says Jason. You mean Shannon Unsharp and Nick wrong. Yes, that's the guys we're talking about. Billy says, Hill taunted Winfield and didn't get called. We will see the Chiefs next year so we can pound on them some more. Bring your best. We will be waiting for you. Chris says, true story. Jason, yes, keep it PR. Thank you. Billy says, we may lose Braden Howard. Chris says, re-sign AB, bring in Julian Edelman, keep Fournette, lose Godwin, unfortunately. We'll see. Howard, no. Jason says, Braid is back. Bernard says, Sack says he's coming back. Yes, sir. Go Bucs. Ryan says, Mahomes is going under surgery, may miss the beginning of next year. Not sure about that. Turf toe is not very serious. Serious, but not that serious. D. Smith didn't get Brady killed like we all worried about. Gronk helped. Is D. Smith back next year? In my opinion, yes. He's earned his contract, and most likely we will not be talking about addressing that position. Got a quick video, and then we'll go out to Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, really quick. Stay with me. This is actually Devin White riding his horse Dream. Of course, the Twitter exchange between Jason Light letting him do that. I believe that's what it is. So stand by here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Enjoy.
Oh, Papa. Enjoy. You well deserved. Victory lap. Bucs Nation, let's go. Your last stage.
All right, there you go. Welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. So there you go. What do you think of that? I'll tell you what, real quick, let me play this video, and then we'll go out to my professional handicapper if it will play. Stand by. Here we go. All right, welcome back. And if you want to order that, the Buccaneers poster today by Michael Fulcher, new custom high definition movie size poster. Size is 24 by 36. Order your poster today. Only $48 includes shipping and handling within the United States. Order using the secure PayPal link, py.pl-ywotj. Again, we'll post that link in there. So enough with the advertisements. Let's keep on reading some of these comments. I remember when Lynch restructured his contract after the first Super Bowl, they cut him, but it was the greatness of Gruden and Bruce Allen. Gerardo says cut Brady's below average. And Billy Henson says fire those cannons. Mark says that same philosophy still serving Gruden well today. Laugh out loud. Let's go out to Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper here. Mr. 88% going up to 89, 90%. Of course, as always, this show brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. Again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And the betting money, all the bettors made out like bandits, my friend, with betting on the Bucs, right?
without question, they did. And I gave that line out to go ahead and play the money line. Didn't even have to take the points in the game, if I'm not mistaken. I actually had them winning by a minimum of what? 11 points. You recall that, correct, Peter?
I do recall that. Absolutely, I do. Yes.
But I was wrong on the over.
Mm-hmm.
The game never went over, but a lot of those prop bets were a lot of fun with the Gronkowski in the over, Leonard Fournette over, the victim of volume over. I mean, there was just so many good prop bets. I mean, it was just great. It really had a lot of fun. But you know what's even going to be more fun? Having to start and doing this all over again.
Oh, I know. And I'm going to tell you right now, you listen to this guy, you're definitely going to make some money with them because Mr. 88%, again, going up to 89, 90%, Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. What is your thought process on first going back to this game? We kind of talked about it, touched upon it in the post-game show, but the game plan itself, only 17 runs, 49 passes. It really put Patrick Mahomes in a bad situation. I get it. You get down. I get it. You're not supposed to run against Tampa Bay's defense, but you at least have to try. You have to do it more than 17 times. And you only give the ball 9 times to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Make some sense of this game plan by the Chiefs last Sunday.
Well, that was one of the reasons why I like Tampa Bay so much in the game, was because, number one, they were pretty banged up on Kansas City's offensive line. And we were all, speculating what they were going to do to try to combat that. How were they going to defend Tampa's defense? And we were speculating they were going to have a lot of 2 tight end sets. Kelsey might be taken out of the game because he might have to get in there and pass protect. I don't know what game plan that they were even thinking of in that game. When you have wide receivers running across and trying to block defensive end and linebackers, that was just something that just mystified me in that game. I mean, Tampa was sending the kitchen sink at some point, but they never really had to blitz that much in that game because they were getting pressure all over the place. It was just, I don't know. You cannot win unless you run the football, especially in a Super Bowl. Defense and running the football get you there. Brady didn't have to throw. Brady didn't have to throw for more than 200 yards.
Yeah. Exactly right.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he got taken to school in that game. And a lot of it had to do with they were banged up on offense. But Tampa just absolutely played lights out in that game. When I see the quarterback for Mahomes having to run backwards 15 and 20 yards, you're not completing many passes that way. If anything, you're going to give the ball away more than you're going to complete. But it was a really good game plan by Todd Bowles. They just played an extraordinary game.
You're absolutely right. Let's read these comments here. Let's go out to Ryan. The Bucs home is being used as the place for WrestleMania, using the Tampa Bay Cannon as the advertising marketing. Of course, we talked about that. That is going to be WrestleMania April 11th and 12th. It's going to be a 2-night affair because originally they were supposed to be here last year. So now they will be home this year. Brady gave this defense even more confidence and swagger because they weren't starstruck. Do you agree with that? That Brady gave them the confidence? Not only Todd Bowles and all the veteran leadership, but also Tom Brady gave them confidence because they knew that he wasn't going to put them in those situations where he's going to turn over the ball.
I think the offense played average. I wouldn't say they were anything to write home to mom about. I mean, again, 200 yards passing. He had a decent game on the ground. Trust me, the entire offense was just marveling at the way that defense was playing. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I hear your cat in the background there. That's funny.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. They're having a good time.
Yeah, they are.
I think that's Turbo and Bandit and Zipper getting into it right now.
I think they were a lot like what happened today at that parade. What were your thoughts on that boat parade? Is that cool or what?
They were having so much fun. Absolutely so much fun. I've seen some of the videos. You're taking a Super Bowl Lombardi trophy and you're throwing it from one boat to the other, number one. And then, I mean, you talk about no sea legs. Holy cow, man. I'm surprised it didn't take 2 people for Tom to walk down a straight line.
Well, I tell you right now, he looked like he had a lot. He was overserved, but that's okay. He can be overserved. He's the greatest of all time. He's got 7 Super Bowls.
Trust me, he's sleeping.
Yes, definitely. Ryan says it doesn't matter what you say about me because now you have to restructure some of your players' contracts to keep them on your team and Rob Gronkowski. I mean, this is much has been made about this. It's always, now what's the future? I was asking fans about this last night. 3 players that would be your priority that you would sign. Out of this bunch here, Harry, who would you re-sign? Gronkowski, Godwin, Antonio Brown, Ndamukong Suh, Shaq Barrett, Levante David, and Leonard Fournette. Go.
Well, you forgot one player in there. The number one player I'm going to re-sign is the kicker.
Okay, Ryan
First
Suckup.
and foremost, okay, because the kicker needs to be in that game. Suckup had an incredible year, and that is a real important piece. If they lose a wide receiver, one, not two, but one, if Godwin goes or Brown goes, but as long as one of them stays, that's still going to be good. Defensively, they've got to re-sign Shaq Barrett somehow.
Well, I tell you right now, he had a throwback Doug Williams jersey on, and he said in that boat parade, he's coming back. So,
well, again, that depends on the money. I mean, that's him talking about it in the excitement. When it comes down to brass tacks, people want to be paid.
Right.
I heard Joshua Cole Allen talking about, and they were running down the numbers, and this person's good. Do you realize you're asking 15 players on this team to take and restructure their deal to take less money? I have a question for you and everybody else that's watching this. Can you afford to go to work and say, yeah, you know what? I really like working with that guy. You can give me $5 less an hour. It ain't happening, guys. Okay. I mean, in some cases it will. I'm not trying to be a buzzkill, but you're talking about 15 players on this roster. You want to restructure their deal to keep 2 or 3 players. At some point in time, it has to be about the player, such as Chris Godwin. He played through his rookie contract. Why doesn't the young man deserve to be paid? I mean, you've worked your entire life to get to the point to where you're at. There has to be some sort of security for him. If they put him on that
franchise tag,
on the franchise tag, that's understandable. But then again, that kind of makes the player a little bit upset as well. You can say what you want about Brady being the quarterback and they just want to play for the team. No, people want to make money. Okay. This is what they're playing this game for. They're also playing it for the love of the game. But I don't think I'm speaking off base here. It'll be shocking if they are able to re-sign Godwin because someone is going to throw a boatload of money at this young man, and it's probably going to be the Jets.
Well, and I mean, again, it comes down to it. I mean, what do you want? Do you want to make money, or do you want to make money and also win a championship? And at the same time, you have to put into context that, yes, Chris Godwin's going to make a lot of money, and they probably will overpay for him because they're a horrible franchise, and they're not going to win a Super Bowl, have a chance to win a Super Bowl this year, possibly in the next 2 or 3 years. Who knows, ever, with the way that franchise is ran. But at the end of the day, you also have to look at the standpoint of you have Mike Evans on that other side. You have Tom Brady at quarterback. You have running backs. So what's the
best? You just said it, Peter. You just answered and it explained it to me, except in a different way. Do you honestly think that Chris Godwin doesn't believe he's a number one? He's not a number one on this team.
It doesn't, but it doesn't matter, Harry, because here's the thing. He can be a number one because people are doubling up on a Mike Evans. So Chris Godwin is going to get more of an opportunity to actually be a number one on this team because he's going to get more opportunities. If he goes to the Jets, who else is on the Jets? Nobody. So he's going to be double teamed.
I get what you're saying, Peter, and that's why I love to have these kind of debates because this is a really good debate to have.
It is.
When you're not a number one, you're not the first read. First.
Right.
That's what being a number one is. Not being your best receiver. That's your number one receiver. That's the first read the quarterback's going to look at. And then the quarterback has to go ahead and scan the field to find you exactly where you're at. Unless you're the design play and the ball's going to you automatically. But generally, having played the game, your number one receiver, 60% of the time, is getting that first read. That's the problem with it. And plus, it goes along, New York, 18 or 20, I mean, 15 to $18 million a year. I mean, I don't want to see him go. I'm just trying to prepare people for that. They're not going to be able to keep both these receivers. Let's just get that out there. There's not enough money to go around. It's not on the offensive side of the ball that this team has to stick together so much because they have so many weapons. It's the defensive side of the ball. This was arguably defensively the best game that they played all year long. They've got to try to get some cohesiveness, and they need to make sure that they go ahead and sign their defensive players that are coming, that are coming up for their contract. That secondary is very young. As the season got along and it kept moving forward, they kept getting better, and better. And through those playoffs, they played them for absolutely phenomenal. But that secondary in the Super Bowl played better than it has the entire season. So concentrate on the defense, because the offense isn't going to be missing any pieces. You just have to be able to keep Brown or Godwin. You got to be able to keep one of them. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to put it right out there, and I'll lay anybody any kind of money on it. They'll end up keeping Antonio Brown before they end up keeping Chris Godwin, just because of financial issues.
I'll put money on it that they keep both.
Okay.
All right. Good to go. There you go.
Hey, I want my breakfast sandwich.
727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Look, if this kid were like Antonio Brown, we know about the diva attitude, not Antonio Brown. Now, I could see that, but the key thing is with Tom Brady restructuring, with Mike Evans restructuring, with other players on this team, they will make it work. You're exactly right. There's a lot to ask, but there's a lot of people out there that
there's a lot of players that have to take and restructure their deals just to keep 2 or 3 different people.
They'll figure it out. They will figure it out.
I would love to see it happen. I'm just, you always prepare for the worst.
I had the same conversation last year, Harry, with everybody else. They were saying there's no way they keep JPP. There's no way they keep Shaq Barrett. There's no way they keep Ndamukong Suh and all these players at happy. And guess what they did? They kept them all. It's the same. I'm not ruling it out. And I think it comes down to 3 words. I know it's so easy and simplistic.
What's the 3 words?
The Brady effect. That's it. He commands the most respect. And I have not seen many players leave his team before and go out and get big-time contracts from New England. Although somebody's saying Godwin's going to get paid by New England. Really? Why do we think that? Because when Tom Brady was there, they weren't willing to pay any wide receivers at all. In fact, New England never paid.
Not going to New England. Whoever said that, he needs to go hit their bowl again.
Yeah.
Give me a break. New England's not going to get off their wallet to do it. They barely got off their wallet to get Randy Moss. And if you remember, that's because he was having problems. And any other player that went over there.
He got traded from the Raiders for like a 4th-round pick. Of course, the Patriots are going to take that trade all day long. The Raiders are ignorant for trading him. So, again, I'm just going to wait and see, because I was in the same conversation last year with people, and I said, I think Ndamukong Suh could be a guy that would leave. And this year people are saying the same thing. Well, who are they most likely to lose? Honestly, no one. You know why? Because this team does what it needs to do. You know who they lost last year? Carl Nassib. That's it. And they replaced him with Anthony Nelson, who, by the way, showed out in the Super Bowl.
Contracts were a little cheaper last year. This one's going to command a little bit more because they're going to get a lot more attention. You win the Super Bowl, trust me, teams are coming in to pick off your players, because they're going to start throwing a lot of money.
Sure.
Last year, you didn't make the playoffs. That's the difference.
But here's the difference also. You don't have Tom Brady on those other teams.
That is true. And you have a very valid point. But Tom Brady's not paying these people's bills.
No, but
that's what I'm saying.
But he is taking a contract. He could be reworking his contract so they can free up more money. And I don't think they're going to rework a contract for Tom Brady in order not to sign. They got a plan. They got something.
They have something. I'm sure they're not going to break the team up, and that's not what I'm trying to say. I just don't see how they can keep both receivers.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people. I think Tampa Bay Ray says the same thing, and maybe so, because they did draft a Tyler Johnson, and people would assume that. But at the end of the day, I just think somehow, some way, they're going to bring back both of those wide receivers, and me and you are going to be sitting here saying, goodness gracious, this team is once again loaded. Let's go out to the webheads here.
Hold on, Peter. They're loaded regardless if they lose one of the receivers.
Right. But I still...
They can even lose a tight end. They're still loaded.
I still feel like, and this stat was presented to me, I think it was Joshua Cole Allen, who said basically Brady's go-to guy on 3rd down was Godwin. That's his security blanket. So if Brady goes to management and says, Bruce Arians and Jason Light Glazers, I'll free up this money. You need to sign this guy or franchise him. They're not going to let him get out of that building. No freaking way.
What's Brady making a year?
Right now, 25 million. So, and he can take less. He's done it before in New England. He would have, honestly, I think he would have done it with the Patriots if the Patriots ownership and the organization said, you know what, we're going to go out there and help you out and get pieces. That's the reason why he came to Tampa in the first place. They had this all planned out. That's all planned. It is.
Yeah, but the Super Bowl was fixed. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah, sure it was. Of course. Now, my players only came for Tom Brady, but I don't troll the Bucs fan page. Ryan says, only thing I know is that the Saints are going to be bad for years to come. I mean, do we agree with that with their cap troubles? Now, that is a cap situation that is bad. I mean, look, Drew Brees lowered his salary down to $1 million. People assume that he's basically going to retire at this point. Most likely he's going to. But that cap situation is worse off than the Bucs situation. How many years do you think it takes the Saints to get back to playoff contention, if ever?
I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think they are. It just depends on who's going to be quarterbacking them. Even if Mr. 30 for 30 is actually playing quarterback under center, they have a good running game. That defense is still going to be extraordinarily stout. I mean, I still think that that was the best defense that Tampa actually faced in the playoffs, and not by a little, by a lot. I mean, that defense was really solid. So anytime you got a great defense and you have a running game, you can put a serviceable quarterback in the middle there, and you're going to win a lot of ball games this year. They're not going to be as bad as what people think. They're not going to be on the same level as what the Buccaneers are.
Right.
But,
I just wonder how many players are going to be off that team because
I don't know. I didn't really dig into it, Peter. I really haven't. But
is a Michael Thomas up for discussion because he had so many problems with this organization during the year? Could he be trade bait, or could he be somebody that's cut, in your opinion?
I don't think he's going to be cut. I think, New Orleans has been a really good team for many years because it's not done by accident. That's done by good coaching and exceptional management. I understand that New Orleans is the nemesis of Tampa, and I shouldn't even be given props, but I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up anybody's you-know-what.
Right.
Just for the sake of, just being a Tampa fan. But you don't become an organization like that because you make mistakes. Okay?
Sure.
And everybody eventually is going to face it. Sometimes organizations hold on to certain players for a little bit too long, and they have a tendency of getting paid. And then it kind of comes back and bites them. But as far as New Orleans and Michael Thomas, I wouldn't give you 2 pennies for Michael Thomas, to be honest with you. I mean, all he does is catch slant passes and falls to the ground.
Yeah.
That's all he does. I mean, he catches 100, 110, 120 balls a year the same way every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a speed burner. He's not going to peel the top off any defense. He's definitely a very sure-handed receiver, but he's had some, durability issues, I would say, the past couple of years. And I think that they're going to have to come to a crossroad to figure out what's going to happen. If they end up keeping him, he's going to have to take a lot less money. But otherwise, they're going to try to trade him, I think.
I think so, too. Brian says Tom Brady and the New England Patriots and the whole team had Spygate spying on other teams' playbooks. Remember that. Boy,
Brian's right. Brian's right.
Well, Brian is right, but again, that wasn't Tom Brady.
No, I'm being a smart ass when I say that. Brian, you're absolutely correct. Please send another comment in because you just wish you had Tom Brady in New Orleans.
Of course he does. Yep, keep thinking that, Brian. UCAN Ben Israel says those other players too, or whatever. I think he's saying those other players don't feed your family, every man for himself. But that's the problem. You guys are thinking in terms of yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, Peter. And that's not the way I meant it. If that's the way it came off,
right.
I'm not. I'm just saying you have to do what's best for yourself and your family as well.
Correct.
There's one thing about winning, but something you're one play away for losing your entire career, or God forbid, being paralyzed for life.
Agree.
It's a very dangerous sport. It always has been. I mean, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with CTE and everything else and some of the debilitating things that can happen, when you're playing such a physical sport as football. And that's why these players make a lot of money. The owners make a lot of money. They charge a lot of money for tickets. You know what? If it's good for the owners, why isn't it good for the player as well? And I can make a compelling argument for either side. But as far as the players are concerned, yes, they want to play for Tampa. And yes, they want to have something with the Brady effect. That's understandable. But trust me, between their agent, their family, and everybody else, they want to make money as well.
Well, yeah, you always want to make as much money as you can. But at the end of the day, if you win a couple of championships, your resume looks that much stronger. And then on top of it, that this organization if you show out again, let's just say he signs that franchise tag, they're going to take care of him eventually next year. So I'm just saying, I mean, I get it. I understand where you're going with that, and I understand where UCAN is going with that. But Chill Will says Godwin to the Patriots. We talked about that. Bucs time 12. We don't need AP. He would be like another LaShawn McCoy on this team. We don't need McCoy either. Get James White. Everybody talking about James White. Joshua Cole has brought up James White. But this report today from TMZ Sports says that Adrian Peterson, that he would be interested. Is that a player that you think in your mind that, let's say the Bucs do lose a Fournette and a Shady McCoy, that they would kind of kick the tires on because he is that veteran presence? Or has Adrian Peterson, AP, seen his best years?
AP, a definite no. I think Adrian Peterson's best times have really gone by him. I'm not saying he doesn't bring anything to the table, but he would be a serious downgrade to what the Buccaneers currently have. I still say you stay with the victim of volume.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette, if he stays, but I think he's going to command a big payday, and I don't blame him. But you want to know where their answer for running back is?
What's that?
Okay. In the draft, and the kid that they got from Tennessee, I think Memphis, the one who fumbled the ball. Yeah, the Vanderbilt kid.
Sean Vaughn, yes.
I think this is the year that you try to bring him into the mix. He's a very elusive runner. He's got really good hands from what I understand. And I think he's going to really flourish in this offense coming into year 2. So they don't have to go out and spend any more money, which they don't have, to try to get other running backs out there. It's just my personal opinion. Leonard Fournette's probably going to go. They keep Ronald Jones, who, by the way, is the best running back on this team. Stop people saying that, because he really is. Leonard Fournette is an extraordinary runner, but I'm sorry. The victim of volume is the best running back on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he should be the feature back. And when you have the rookie, he's going to be in the second year, and then you draft another running back this year in the later rounds, not telling you have to spend it on a first or second rounder. I'm talking third and fourth round, and then you develop him.
Agree. No, I agree with you on that. UCAN says we need Kamara.
No, you don't.
That's going to happen. Restructuring doesn't mean taking a pay cut, Max, but it does basically entail them freeing up money so they can sign other free agents. The Bucs have done this a lot.
Yeah, but then when you restructure your contract, you're a year later from collecting your full payout, and by that time, you can be injured or whatever, and then they can cut you anyway. Now you're not getting that money. There are so many. It's like snake oil salesmen when they talk about restructuring contracts, and I don't understand it all. I'll never profess to understand it. But if I was an athlete, I want to be paid.
Well, sure, you want to be paid, but isn't Godwin more marketable with a couple of Super Bowls under his belt, especially beginning as a young player with, say, 2 or 3 Lombardis and playing with Brady? I say we keep Godwin. I agree with that, and I think that's where he's looking.
I agree too.
We can live without Godwin. That's why they got Johnson. I get that. I understand that. But again, I just have a funny feeling the Bucs are going to pull this off. I do. I could see most key players being re-signed because of the new culture. Bingo. Christopher Cole, that would be the ultimate betrayal by CG to go to the Patriots next year. I don't see it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, absolutely. Tampa, AB has a long off season to keep his head on straight. He makes me nervous. Does he make you nervous still, or do you think he's learned his lesson to where if he gets out of line, because he could still get re-signed? I mean, the Bucs are looking at him. Like you said, let's say they go without Godwin, they go with an AB and a Tyler Johnson. That's not a bad wide receiving core. So do you have confidence that AB will be able to keep his nose clean in this offseason?
Look, he's had more troubled seasons than he's had non-troubled seasons. Would you agree with that, Peter?
Agree, absolutely.
Okay, so I still have to be cautiously optimistic. I was wrong with my my view when the Buccaneers ended up with getting AB. It was pleasantly surprised. It still wasn't completely problem-free. He did have a problem with a camera incident, and for some reason or another, it was dropped. But leopards don't lose their spots. They just try to use a little bit more dye to hide it.
Sure. Well, I mean, if you're living with Tom Brady, it's one thing. But if you're living by yourself, then there's a possibility of some things happening. Well,
Giselle doesn't want Antonio Brown in the house forever. Come on, man.
they could have a reality show about it. It would be great.
The Brady and Brown, the double Bs, the killer bees.
The killer bees. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Let me take a pay cut and give my kids a future with less money. Laugh out loud, shaking my head. I mean, you act like they're not taking any, you're not going to get any money. You can. I mean, you're an idiot, dude, but saying this, I mean, honestly. I mean, you guys say, oh, he's there to take a pay cut, so he's not going to get paid. Well, what do you think? He's going to get the veteran minimum? He's not going to probably get as much as he could, but he's still going to get a lot of money. That's what people don't understand. Oh, let me take a pay cut, give my future. His kids are whatever kids he has, because he hasn't had any kids yet. As far as I know, he has a new fiance. If they want to have kids, they're taken care of. He's going to be taken care of. So enough with the nonsense. I think we need to keep Godwin and let Shaq Barrett go, because we've seen without Vita next to him, he just had an okay season. Didn't White get more sacks? I seen he had a lot of pressures, but who gets a big, huge contract and almost getting a sack? I think we can pick up somebody up in the draft or free agency cheaper. Agree with that? I don't. I think
I can agree with that, but why try?
Right.
You know you have a proven formula. Let's just take it for instance. And I'm not asking for an answer, but who's better, Shaq Barrett or Khalil Mack?
I mean,
I'm asking for an answer from you. In all honesty, I'm putting you on the spot here. Who's better, Shaq Barrett or Khalil Mack?
I mean, I think Khalil Mack has a longer resume, and he's shown that he's a better player.
It's not even close. Khalil Mack is a better football player. But how do you know he would flourish in this defense sitting next to Vita Vea?
Right.
But you already have something that's proven with Shaq Barrett. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So you really want to re-sign him. It's all about that continuity, the cohesiveness, the player that you know next to you. He knows what Vita Vea is going to do. Khalil Mack doesn't know. So when you talk about bringing in a free agent or someone in a draft, it's still developing that player back into that system with that particular person that's sitting next to him. So I'm not going to say that's nonsense, because I'm not going to try to discredit someone's opinion, but that's just my opinion. So they would be better off just re-signing Shaq Barrett and not disrupting what's not broken. And there's nothing broken on that line. I'll tell you, the defensive player they can afford to lose, and that's really not going to make that big of an impact, is going to be Ndamukong Suh, believe it or not. Now you can turn around and find yourself somewhere in the second or third round, a rookie, and keep rotating people. Because when you have that Vita Vea sitting in the middle, he can make a lot of other defensive players look really good. But you're talking about edge rushers.
Well, I mean, that's what it comes down to, with that inner pressure that you have with a Vita Vea with a full year under his belt. We saw Shaq, what he could do in this first year with the 19.5 sacks, and people expect that, but he still got a lot of pressure. In fact, what was he, third in pressures in the NFL? Yep. Of course, you had JPP lead in sacks, and you don't have to worry about him, but I still would sign a Shaq Barrett. Again,
they need to get faster at that position, by the way, with Ndamukong Suh.
Well,
they need to get a little faster. I mean, Ndamukong Suh 5 years ago, yeah, you wouldn't hear me say that. That was probably one of the most dominant. He was Aaron Donald reincarnated. I'm not kidding you. Aaron Donald. Oh, yeah.
I agree, and I think you can do that by number 32. You could look for a defensive tackle later on, because it's a deep draft in the defensive tackles. So good stuff there. Chris Williams, J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt, here's my problem with J.J. Watt. $16 million. You're going to have to pay his salary. And then on top of it, that dumpster fire of a team in the Houston Texans, they're not just going to give J.J. Watt away. I mean, how much would you ask for if you're the Texans? And how much do you think the Bucs should give for a healthy J.J. Watt, which is a lot, because Watt hasn't been able to stay healthy consistently? Nobody's
going to give more than a third or a fourth round pick for J.J. Watt. And it would be under the contingency that he's going to take a lot less money. Look, right. J.J. Watt is not an every down player anymore. He's still a great leader and a great presence in the clubhouse as well as on the defensive line. And I still think he could bring something into the tank and he can rush the quarterback. But as far as commanding first rounder for him and having to pay him the $15 or $16 million a year that he's getting, that's a pipe dream. And I have a funny feeling they'll end up releasing him because they're not going to be able to get those offers. And now he's out there going, okay, what am I worth? Okay. Yeah. That is a player that I would like to see on Tampa's defense, because it would be situational. It wouldn't be every down on the field. And that, my friend, that man still has something in the tank, especially to stop the run and going after a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. No, most definitely. Again, he definitely has something left in the tank. Max says restructuring converts the yearly base salary into immediately paid signing bonus that is prorated over the length of the contract up to 5 years.
But it's not guaranteed.
Right. You get most of that up front. That's how it works usually. That's how I think the restructure works. You get most of that salary up front, and then you back end it. And of course, you have to deal with that, the consequences. I agree to the extent with Harry, but Barrett had an excellent season last year. They got the continuity and just in one off season. We could do the same thing with somebody else like Nelson and save some money. Yeah. I understand the Nelson thing, and I see what you're saying, but the whole save some money thing, they're going to have money. They're going to be able to. Mike Greenberg and Jason Light, they know what they're doing. Why save money when it's tough to find pass rushers, and why even take a chance? That's what I'm saying. Why even take the chance? And I agree with you, Harry. Good take. So Chris Williams. So there you go. Good stuff from Chris. What do you think about the trade market for a quarterback? You hear that Carson Wentz is going to go to the Chicago Bears. What are your thoughts on that? And then now, supposedly, there could be more teams involved instead of just the Bears and the Colts. Is this agent speak to drive up the price?
Let me tell you not what happened in the last 24 hours.
Okay.
Let's talk about what's just happened in the last 10 hours. Very good friend of mine. He's a beat writer for the Chicago Tribune. I talked to him earlier in the day. He's in a tizzy. He's like, I can't believe what I'm hearing. I can't believe what I'm hearing. And I was like, please don't tell me they're going after Carson Wentz with a table full. And he goes, no, it's David Montgomery and a first-round draft pick.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, we originally heard here, Harry, it was Tyree Cohen. So
now it went to David Montgomery. Tariq Cohen, he can go. That's fine. Okay. He's not the player that he was. But anyway, David Montgomery in a first-round draft pick. And all of a sudden they debunked that because it was a hoax. That was not even really on the table. Philadelphia is playing themselves out of a really good pick for Carson Wentz. Because now the report is, and you're going to hear about it tomorrow morning on the NFL Network, that they're going to start losing leverage because people are starting to back away from it and they're going to offer a lot less. Now Chicago and Indianapolis are starting to play chess with the Philadelphia Eagles. The most that there's going to go for him, I assure you of this, is going to be one first-round draft pick. Chicago wants someone in return for him and maybe one player, and it's not going to be David Montgomery.
All right, we got a question here from David Moser here. He says, I wanted to ask you the other night, Harry, but you got off the air. I got a chance. What are your thoughts on Rodgers going to the Dallas Cowboys? Much has been made about Dak Prescott, them being far in terms if they're going to get Prescott signed by the Cowboys. Could Rodgers get traded to me, that doesn't make any sense, David, and I'll tell you why. The coach there, Mike McCarthy,
he got him fired.
Couldn't stand Rodgers. Rodgers couldn't stand. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that fire out right now. That's not going to happen, right?
He's the one who got McCarthy fired in Green Bay.
Yeah,
that's just common knowledge. It was almost worse and more known than what happened when Jordan had what's his name fired from the Chicago Bulls in 1989 or 1990. Was Coach Collins? I'm not kidding you.
Doug Collins. Yeah,
Doug Collins. I mean, that was as blatant as they come. No, Green Bay's already said that Rodgers is going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. They're not entertaining offers or anything. I mean, they don't even want any more turmoil than what was caused when the Packers decided to draft Jordan Love and not give Aaron Rodgers any more help in the first 3 rounds on offense. As a matter of fact, I don't think they drafted anybody on offense in that last draft.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
but that was a good question. I can understand why that is, because there was the connection between McCarthy and Rodgers. There's no Dak Prescott, and they're not sure if they're going to pay Prescott. There was rumors that Matthew Stafford was going to go there. There was rumors that Deshaun Watson might have been a play there, believe it or not. There have been rumors about other quarterbacks even be interested. By the way, Trubisky's also been linked to going there as well. That's not going to happen.
Wow. Well, what are you thinking about Watson in that market? Is that going to start to heat up? I mean, you hear on Sunday, recent reports suggest that the Texans are telling teams they're not trading Watson, but at the end of the day, you have to trade him if it becomes a nuisance. He doesn't want to play there. He said that the relationship at this point is pretty
severed.
over. They got to trade him, right? Who do they trade him to most likely?
Well, I honestly think as much of a dumpster fire as what's going on in Houston at this time, I don't think it's really going to make a difference. I'm going to go off of what I said from before, and I'm going to retract what I said that they would have Watson traded. No, this organization is completely ass backwards right now. They are going to stick to their guns, and they're going to try to patch this together. But Deshaun Watson does not want to play for this organization. So I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. He's going to sit next year, and they're going to get absolutely nothing for him. So at the following year, then he's going to be able to find a team to go to. So how stupid is that? Okay. I mean, can you imagine Tom Brady after winning the third or fourth Super Bowl saying to the New England Patriots, I don't want to play for you anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
I want to quit. You better trade me. What do you think New England would have did?
Trade him.
They would have had to trade him at that point because
he wanted to trade him anyway because he thought he was washed up. He wanted to keep Jimmy Garoppolo in the
No, I'm talking about when he was in his prime.
Right, I agree.
Okay, and I'm not saying, and again, I'm not saying that he's not in his prime, but let's face it, he's not in his prime, okay? I mean, not like 10, 15 years ago. I mean, come on. But what I'm trying to say is if there's a player that doesn't want to be part of your organization, that means he's not part of your team, okay? So that means he's strictly thinking about himself. You know, both sides are wrong on this. Don't everybody just blame what's going on with Houston. There has to be some sort of accountability for Deshaun Watson to be able to make this public. And there's not too many players that have made their voices public like this that have went on to have successful careers after that, because they have a tendency of being, for better words, selfish.
Prima donnas. Prima donnas
Right.
like wide receiver. You're exactly right. But I think, to be fair, here's a guy that was playing at the top of his level. You saw J.J. Watt apologize to him when he was walking off the field. He went to management. He gave them basically, here's what I want you guys to do. If I'm your franchise quarterback, I just signed. He signed an extension with them. And this is what I didn't understand, because we knew it was a dumpster fire. That's why I didn't understand why he would sign an extension in the first place. But obviously, he was under the impression that he would have more say and who was going to be hired as a general manager and a coach. And they took basically what he had to say and just, basically swept it under the rug and said, screw you. We don't care what you have to say. We're going to hire our own guy. They pissed off their quarterback, and now he feels like they're liars. Because not only did he ask them, we don't know what was in that negotiation for him to re-sign. Because not only did they get rid of his top wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, but most likely they promised him things, and that's the reason why he signed the contract extension in the first place, in my opinion.
Well, he wanted to get paid.
Right.
That's the whole point that I was making, and he's going to get paid. But now when you're stripping everything out and away from him, I wouldn't want to play there either. But there were the...
But he wanted to get paid like everybody. Well, he wants to get paid. Okay, he got paid, and guess what happened? That team went down to nothing because basically they lied to him. He got paid, but everybody around him got worse. So that's why I always go back to free agency. It isn't always about getting paid. It's about the best situation. Just because Chris Godwin, and I know you know this, Harry, but just because Chris Godwin was great with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers doesn't mean it's necessarily going to translate over to the New York Jets. I remember in Buccaneer history with everybody getting excited about, paying an Alvin Harper. Well, he was great. You know why? Because he was on the other side of Michael Irvin. But when he went down here and tried to be number one wide receiver, he was nothing. He wasn't as good. He got paid, but he went to a bad organization and he wasn't a good fit in that system. So that's why I say, buyer beware. At the end of the day, you better make sure that he is a number one wide receiver. And I think Godwin is a number one wide receiver, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to duplicate that same success. Now, going back to Watson, you're exactly right. He got paid, which is why it's kind of a head scratcher for me. Why would he agree to that unless the ownership and the people that were in charge at that juncture told him basically, we're going to get you this, we're going to get you this, we're going to get you that, much like what the Bucs told Tom Brady coming here. And
those are all false promises, though. And again, we're hitting that same narrative. Peter, I don't mean to interrupt you, but both sides are at fault here. Houston's a dumpster fire as far as the management's concerned, and they didn't handle it correctly. But then again, neither is Deshaun Watson, and I got to keep pounding that. He made things way too public. He brought too many narratives involved in it just to try to get his way. Well, you know what? Eventually, the employer sticks their feet in the ground and goes, okay, boys, let's pump the brakes here. You ain't going anywhere. That's it.
Right. Let's.
If you want to play in the prime of your career, you're going to play for us now. But you're not going to push us in the corner and say, this is what you're going to do, because that's not the way it is. Now, if you want to quit, that's a different story. Now you've ruined your entire career.
Well,
I don't know about you, Peter. You can't go into work tomorrow and say, hey, you know what? I want you to trade me to a different department. And if you don't, I'm just not going to go to work. What do you think your boss is going to do to you?
He'll most likely fire me. But also,
there you go.
If the boss made promises to me that they were going to raise my salary, and the reason why I'm going to sign on for this instead of that other company to come back, and basically they went against what they promised, I'm going to be upset. Now, do I agree with you? It shouldn't be out there in the public limelight, but that's just the way the generation is. And at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson believes that
I think he could have handled it differently, though. That's the only thing I'm saying.
And you're exactly right, but that's not the way sports athletes think these days. He's thinking in terms of the NBA, where a LeBron James wants out or wants to get the coach fired, he's going to have what he wants. He's thinking of terms of Kevin Durant wants out, James Harden wants out. We're going to go to Twitter. We're going to go to wherever and Instagram and get out some way. That's the way he's thinking. And it's a bad precedent. You're absolutely right about that, because if this continues to happen, we saw within Antonio Brown, right? He was a superstar for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He did so many obnoxious things that basically the Steelers were forced to trade him. They still got a first and third round pick. We saw how that worked out. I don't agree with it, but I think it could be the new norm coming into the NFL. 727. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me tell you something. Actually, go ahead and say your number first. Sorry about that.
727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391 if you want to talk about this, if you want to talk about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said, they're world champions. We can continue to say it, but if you guys are not calling, I'm going to move on. I'm not saying I'm going to move on without talking about the Bucs, but there are other things around the NFL. And if you guys are not responding and you guys are not interacting with me and you're sitting there with your finger up your friggin' nose, then I'm going to change the subject. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Don't troll me. I will troll you back. I told you guys, this is my show. I do what I want. Now, you guys want to call in and interact and say something that's productive? Cool. If not, get the hell on. Listen,
the point I was just going to make when you brought up, and these are like two totally unrelated issues here. And you might agree with me. When Antonio Brown was in the prime of his career and he was leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers because he was the squeaky wheel.
Hold on. Let's go out to the phone lines here. Ask and you shall receive. See, that's what I got to do. I got to put some fire under your ass. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on with yours truly, along with Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper.
Peter, I'm sorry. This is Alex from West Palm. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, buddy. It's about time.
No. See, I'm watching the NFL Network, and I've been binging on the games, and I've been watching you on the side, too.
Okay.
So I have a good excuse. The game is about to go off.
Okay.
And I have a good excuse. I'm soaking all this in because I still cannot believe it.
I know, right? You can't believe it. You saw the parade today. That's when it hit me. When Bruce Arians is talking, he's nearly drunk. Yeah, Jason Light, he's nearly drunk. I mean, both of those guys had enough Bud Lights to kill a horse. And I tell you right now, hopefully they didn't give it to Devin White's horse.
Over there? Can you say Bud Light over there?
I did say Bud Light, yes. What is Facebook going to do? Ban me?
No, I'm saying, you're not getting paid for it. Advertising, whatever, right? Whatever.
Miller Lite, Heineken, Corona.
Yes, we're not getting paid for it. You're exactly right. An adult beverage. My bad.
No. So Pierre,
yes,
I was talking to you guys. I watch you guys all the time. From
Thank
West
you, man.
Palm Beach, we have a nice little sector over here. Mostly Dolphin fans, but listen, when I was driving, and I was thinking about how special this is for us, right? Because the Saints, they've won 49 games in the last 4 seasons in the regular season, and they still wasn't able to accomplish this. And what we've done today,
in 1 year
on Sunday,
with a new quarterback and a new offense, yeah. How about that, Saints fans?
and how truly special it is. And that's probably why I can't still grasp it. That's why I'm watching the reruns all day today and everything like that. I'm binge watching it. And
Love
I
it.
am sorry. I had you in the corner going on with my phone, then I am watching the TV.
So you put me in the corner. You put baby in the corner. You put Peter in the corner with Harry the Greek. That's what you're telling me.
At least I had you guys on.
Okay.
I had you guys on.
Well, that's good. That's a
So
start.
are you saying there's a Harry Peter in the corner?
Jeez. You know, I did.
So I was just gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm so excited, right? Like this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been wanting. This is the reason why we criticize these coaches. This is the reason why we've had inept coaches. We've seen that we had inept organization, and we finally got all the pieces together. And it's just exciting. It's just that COVID somehow has made it a little bit, it takes off its edge just a little bit because
Sure.
everybody in South Florida couldn't go in to enjoy it the way we wanted to as fans. But I'll take it. I will definitely take it.
I agree. I think it will all take it at this point. And will we like more fans at the Super Bowl? Absolutely. Will we like more fans during the season? Absolutely. Would we like to see go out there and interact with the guys? Absolutely. But the fans, we didn't get a chance to do that this year. So we'll just have to settle for a Super Bowl championship. And more than likely, like Bruce said, instead of running it back like that KCBS, we're going for 2. We're going for 2. That's what he had to say today. Love it. Love it from Bruce.
So after Bruce retires this year, who do you after 2021 after retires? Because I think he will retire. Who do you want to see? You want to see them keep Todd Bowles in place, or you want to see them promote Byron Leftwich?
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, because I think Todd Bowles.
How about neither?
Would be an excellent head coach. I do.
Oh, Harry, don't go there.
Yeah,
no,
Harry.
For real, man. Neither. Todd Bowles had his experience. That experiment was over. He's an extraordinary defensive coordinator. He's not that good as a head coach.
I'll tell you right now.
As far as Byron Leftwich,
yeah,
no, he can stay as an offensive coordinator. They need to bring in They need to bring in an offensive mind genius the same way that they have with Bruce Arians. Again, please, no pun intended. But Todd Bowles, extraordinary defensive coordinator, not a head coach.
I would say I agree with him, and I don't think Todd Bowles necessarily wants to be a head coach, but if he did, it would most likely be down here. But if my money were on it, it would either be, obviously, Bowles or Leftwich. Now, I'm not sure, man.
He's grooming those guys because here's the thing. You can't judge Todd Bowles by his cover was bare at the Jets.
With the Jets, come on, man! Don't you get a mulligan? I mean, Adam Gase gets 300 jobs, including that awful franchise. He can't turn them around. Somehow, this guy keeps on getting jobs because he worked with Peyton Manning and has a good resume.
Let me throw you one name.
Throw me one name. Hold on a minute here.
Go ahead, Harry.
Bieniemy. One name. How about Bieniemy in Tampa? This offense.
He's going to be the new coach of the Kansas City Chiefs when Andy Reid retires.
I think he's coaching way for Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes,
exactly. I'm just saying. Wouldn't you like to have him here in Tampa versus a Byron Leftwich or a Todd Bowles? Come on, man.
Because Todd Bowles knows the situation. He knows the players. The players respect him. He reaches the players. He's not going to hamstring any offense. He understands what it takes to win a championship now. And like I said, he wants those weapons. I mean, Todd Bowles, I think he's respected throughout this team. They look to Todd Bowles. They respect him as a genius, and he can relate to these younger players. He gives them confidence.
Sure.
Byron Leftwich, being the head coach, I think it'd probably be a little bit overwhelming being in Tampa, especially for him. And I just think Todd Bowles will give the confidence and the steadfastness, and he would just be that calming, steady force that Tampa Bay probably would need at the Bruce Arians.
I think you could be right about that.
I will tell you one thing about Todd Bowles, guys.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if he was head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they'd run the football a hell of a lot more.
You're probably right.
Guarantee it.
But would they be as explosive offensively as Bruce Arians is and Byron Leftwich? And then
you just won the Super Bowl by blowing out the Kansas City Chiefs for throwing less than 200 yards. I'd say, yeah.
That's true. I would say this, though. You're not going to have Tom Brady most likely when Bruce Arians retires. So do you go with Byron Leftwich and keep that offensive continuity and try to keep Todd Bowles as your defensive coordinator?
Well, there is talk that Tom Brady is probably going to get an extension So that means he goes into the 2022 season. And
how long do you want this guy to play for?
Until he's 60.
Well, as long as he needs
the guy can play, he can play. He's
as
got
long as the guy can play. The guy has 2 more good seasons, at least 2 more.
Maybe 3. Maybe 3.
Maybe 5, guys. Maybe 10. Who knows?
No, 15 Super Bowl.
You guys stop it.
Come on, Harry.
That's not going anywhere no time soon, Harry. Did you see that laser he threw to Gronk this late this season? That's not going anywhere no time soon, buddy.
It's a TB12. I'm telling you. I think it should be like it's
my brother. I love Tom Brady. I love this organization. I love what Jason Light has done. But please,
let's roll Tom Brady out there until he's 50.
Let's not talk about what's going to happen.
Let's do it.
The Bucs are on top of the hill right now, and the hardest thing for them to do is to make sure that they stay on top of the hill.
Yes,
it was hard enough getting up there, but remember, it's round up there, boys. So you can lean one way and you might fall a little bit.
No, don't do Max Kellerman falling off the cliff. Don't go down that road. All right, Alex, go ahead.
Who did that?
Max Kellerman.
I know. I swear to God, I've never even seen that. Did he really do that?
Said falling off a cliff in 2016.
He did say falling off a cliff.
2016, he was saying Tom Brady was going to fall off a cliff.
Oh, no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying it's just like any other team. Like
Harry, let me ask you a question. Harry, do you think the Tennessee Titans, do you think they don't take Tom Brady? Do you think this should be signed? If they see this Tom Brady that they see now, you think the Tennessee Titans don't take him now? You think they don't try to outbid Tampa Bay for him? You really think they re-signed Ryan Tannehill?
Well, they did.
I don't think Tennessee wins a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. I could tell you that. I don't, and I'm going to go one step further for you. Tom Brady's never had an offensive juggernaut like he has here in Tampa that he ever had in New England.
Agree.
Not even close.
Agree.
Yeah, but with Tennessee and what they're doing with the run heavy, and also they'll have great young receivers. You'd be surprised what Tom Brady could do. You'd be surprised what he could do. And that defense wasn't no slouch for Tennessee. It wasn't up to.
I'm not surprised by anything Tom Brady can do. And like Harry talked about, how long you want this guy to play until he wants to quit. I mean, he can do whatever he wants to at this point. But I agree with you.
I think Tom's not delusional. He'll know when he needs to stop. I don't think Tom will be like he wants to play until like the Peyton Manning type of thing. I think Tom realizes. He loves his family. I give him 2 more seasons, and then he's going to be done.
And even when Peyton Manning decided to hang it up,
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. 2 more seasons, he'd be done. I'd be surprised if he plays more than 1 more year in 2021. But I could possibly see 2 more seasons. But I mean, I was hearing people coming into my shop today telling me, "I hope Brady signs a 5-year deal." What? What?
He's not. Harry, what do you think about that point spread? What do you think about the point spread as far as you heard there was a guy who actually betted that there was that the Kansas City Chiefs were not going to score a touchdown.
You know what? I seen that, and I got to tell you that was huge. That was a proposition bet. It really wasn't more of a point spread. There were so many great prop bets this game. I mean, I had so much fun giving out and touting some of the prop bets that were out there, but that was cool. But I'll tell you another thing. You want to make some serious coin? Every Super Bowl, just make sure you put, $1 a week out or whatever. It don't make a difference. Bet $50 or $100 that one team would go without scoring a point. Just think about that. You know what the odds on that are? Because it's never happened. And it's just going to continue to grow bigger, bigger, and bigger.
Well, I wish I would have put $100 at the beginning of the season when I said Tampa Bay was going to win the Super Bowl or bust. I wish I would have did that.
I told you to put $100 on them when they were plus 1,400. I'm sorry, plus 2,000 to win the Super Bowl.
Well, you're
plus 1,400 just to make it to the Super Bowl, and that was week 12.
And I wanted to do it. You should have just took the $100, put it in there, and we could have made some money together. Professional handicapper.
Hey, Harry.
Yes, sir.
But I heard there was a couple of $1 million bets that was bet on Tampa Bay. Were those the wise guys? Did they make those bets?
Well, let me put it to you this way. When the line originally opened it up, the line opened up at Kansas City -3. And then the line climbed all the way up to -4. And at one point it was -4, and you had to lay 120 to win 100. In Tampa, there was no juice. They were begging you to bet Tampa Bay. And what that was the general public pushing that line. Everybody believed in Kansas City. That's why that line grew. And then as the game started getting closer, it went to 3.5. It went to 3. And right on Super Bowl Sunday, that line went for about 15 minutes to Kansas City minus 2.5. And then you see in the minus 2.5 with no juice whatsoever. The final 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you are correct. That's where the big boys' money started coming through. That's where all the smart money started coming through. That's when all the millions of dollars started funneling into Tampa. That's why when the line closed at Kansas City minus 3, even money for Kansas City, but minus 125 for Tampa, that's when I knew in my heart that this team was winning this game. Besides the fact that Kansas City was missing 2 offensive linemen, and besides the fact that I knew that Tampa Bay was going to win, besides the fact that I wasn't going to play them on the spread and take the points because I was getting 150 for every 100 that I was betting, I just knew in my heart this is what was going to happen with the game. But to answer your question, yes, that was the wise guy's money.
So there you go.
So one more thing, Peter. So do you think Fournette, you think his agent allows him to be in Tampa because he had a great playoff run? And for 2, James White is he's a free agent now. He's out there. You think Tom Brady brings in James White?
Only if he's cheap.
Yeah, only if he's cheap, and only if they get rid of Fournette. If they get rid of Fournette, then there's no need. There's definitely need for James White. You could pair James White with Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn, and there's your running back room. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what Fournette wants to do. And look, Fournette has definitely earned that payday. How much money is he going to get paid from a team? We'll see. I'm not sure yet. I think the Bucs are definitely interested in bringing him back. It just depends on what Harry says. Does he want to get paid, or does he want to take a little bit less and play on a championship team? My
He's a
answer:
running back. He doesn't have that long of a shelf life. He's a big bruiser.
That's it. So I mean, if you can pay him, but again, it doesn't always work out. Again, you get paid, you get big time money, but you're in that situation again where you're with a god awful franchise like the Jacksonville Jaguars, which, to be fair, at the time when Fournette was a part of that, they had a couple of good years there with the defense and everything else, and then they basically just got rid of everybody. They scaled it down. So
I love this caller. He is really knowledgeable.
Yeah, Alex definitely knows his stuff. I like Alex a lot. Alex from West Palm Beach. Thanks a lot for the time, buddy. Anything else?
Absolutely. No, that's it. Go Bucs. I've been I actually met Rondé the other day.
Sure.
He was in Palm Beach. Yes, he was in Palm Beach.
Okay.
And I was excited. I called him by his real name, and he was looking like, whoa, like nobody knows me about my real name.
What's his real name?
Tavar. I forgot.
I don't think that was his name.
That was a good point.
That was not a good name.
I know. I'm on the air right now. It's Rondé Var. They have really weird names.
He cursed. He said mother something, and it's not his name.
Hold on. I'm going to tell him what his name is. You ready?
Go for it.
The victim. A volume.
That's not his name. That's not his name.
Alex, we just got to try to keep it light here. You know what I'm saying, brother?
I hear you, buddy.
He said mother effer. I thought he was going to say mother effer Joe.
It's a long name. It's a weird name.
Oh, that's all right.
I'm on the air right now.
Who doesn't think of mother effer when they think
I think of a cow when you say that for some reason, like in the milk, like the milk jug, the Borden milk jug, the mother effer.
That's a heifer.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just trying to go there. Where is the dude when we need him right now?
Oh, the dude abides. All right, Alex, let me go ahead and fire those cannons. I want you to do me a favor. After this, I want you to give me a Ric Flair woo.
Woo.
All right, my friend. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you, all right?
All right, brothers. All right, bye.
All right, bye. Good stuff. So what happens when you lose a train of thought? You just start cursing. You don't even know if
Peter, I'm reading some of these comments.
Well,
they're hilarious, brother.
Well, let's go out to them. Let's not neglect them. Let's go out. Let's see what they're saying. We talked about that. Dustin says Brady and Evans will restructure their contracts, I believe, in the front office to keep the squad to run it back. David says, I know it's more of a joke. I figure Harry would get a kick out of it, so it was a joke. David was joking around with us. We're champs, Peter H. Blake. I know. Awesome. Dustin says, what about Patrick Peterson coming to Tampa? Has ties with Arians and Light.
No, that's funny.
Patrick Peterson is seen his best days. I do.
No, but he's still a premier corner, Peter, but we're trying to save money here.
Right. They're good.
Let's be real here.
Right. I think they're good.
You might as well bring in Richard Sherman, too, come on, man.
Well, I heard he could go to New Orleans.
I heard he might be going to the Jets.
Well, there you go. Why the hell are you talking about Godwin in New York? Because New York has the most money, and it's been talked about in free agency circles. How bad was it that Albert Hainsworth, whatever his name is, defensive tackle from Washington, how much did that set us back? Well, it didn't set the Bucs back. It set the Washington football team back. But when he got picked up by the Bucs, he was not a great leader on that team. In fact, he was awful. Here he has no choice. The president quit. The GM is a joke, and Ersturbe is a clown. I think he's talking about
Green Bay.
Bay. No, he's talking about the Texans.
Sorry.
Alberto Hainsworth. No, it's Albert Hainsworth, not Alberto, but he could have been Alberto. Who knows? He disappeared.
Let me tell you something. When he played, before he got paid, probably top 5 defensive lineman I had ever witnessed in football, ever.
Absolutely.
In the moment he got paid, that man got fat, and then he got lazy.
Yep. Think of Chris Baker, who had a all-star year for the Washington football team before he came here with Deshaun Jackson, and they turned out to be absolutely awful pickups. So buyer beware. Again, I was an Albert Hainsworth guy. I wanted the Bucs to go after him because he's a great defensive tackle and he had the attitude. And even Mark Dominic nearly got him, but Washington overpaid for him. And guess what happened? He was a slug. Just like Chris
Tampa would still be paying the price if they would have got him.
Yep. 15.8 franchise tag for Godwin. Tim says going to sign Ndamukong Suh, I think he's saying, or Shaq.
I have no idea.
Levante gets a 3-year deal. Sue gets another 1 year. We sign Fournette, and AB will want money, so we lose him. I think AB is going to be here, honestly. Todd Bowles, exactly. Tim says the Jets, not really. Tim again. 08 Patriots with Moss was one of the best offensive teams in history. I think that's 07 you guys are talking
One of the best it was 07, actually, you're correct. One of the highest scoring offenses. But trust me, that offense was not as good as this Tampa offense this year.
And they're going to get
not statistically.
Right.
Tampa was better. This offense just had a better feel to it. And I want you to do me a favor. Take this offense without Brady, set it back 12 or 13 years ago, and give it to Brady up in New England. They forget about it. It's almost mind-boggling what that could have been.
They beat the Giants. The Giants are not stopping this team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. I don't think so.
No, zero chance.
Yeah. Let's see here. 1 season point still taken. Tim says, but he has always had a top 10 defense. Says that's true. Gravediggers, Legion of Boom. Harry, do you know how much the payout was for Ryan Suckup for not kicking the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs? Laugh out loud.
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell you. Do you know how many prop bets there were, man?
I mean,
seriously, David. I mean, there were, honestly, David, there had to be over 1,000 different prop bets. No exaggeration.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, how many blades of grass were going to be in a 3-inch square? I have no idea. I'm not kidding you, bro. I mean, it was that bad. What color was the Gatorade? What color were the Gatorade containers? How many players would be sitting on the bench at one time? How many players' shoelaces would have been loose? I mean, I'm not kidding you. These are some of the things that I was actually reading. It was nuts, man. Absolutely nuts.
Yep. Let's see here. So good stuff there. Tim says, isn't the cap going to be 185?
I think it's less.
Well, it could be. We don't know because the NFL always says it's going to be less and it's usually more. So depending on the pandemic and the effects of it, again, we'll wait and see. According to Bruce, Levante, Godwin, Sue, Barrett ain't going nowhere. And this is exactly what Bruce said last year about all those players, and they went nowhere. Instead of what they thought was going to be 175, Tim says 50 touchdowns for Brady, and Moss set the record for 23 touchdowns, right? Absolutely. And Mike says people have forgotten all about OJ and wonder what happens to him because, let's be honest, if the guy is healthy, he's one hell of a tight end.
Top 5 in top 5 in the league.
But the problem is he can never stay healthy. He's been off injured, but you're exactly right. Before he got hurt, which he was catching a touchdown, he was going to be a big guy in this offense. And you wonder what the injury impact of it is going to be. I don't necessarily think it's going to impact him, but I'm wondering if he gets back into this offense with a Rob Gronkowski and a Cameron
just
Brady,
rotating them. Oh my God.
Goodness gracious. And his blocking is going to improve. Let's talk about other quarterbacks in the league. Russell Wilson, were you surprised to hear that teams are actually calling the Seattle Seahawks? And what the scuttlebutt is that basically Wilson, who also signed a contract extension a couple of years ago, is very frustrated with Pete Carroll and the way he's building this team. So in your opinion, what is the percentage that Wilson could be traded in this offseason, namely to one of your teams, the Chicago Bears? Go.
I think it's a smokescreen, Peter. This is not going to take long. I mean, how in the world would Seattle even fathom about losing him? I mean, seriously, think about it. I think he would, you know what, even at this point in his career, he would probably be worth more than a Deshaun Watson for two reasons. From a character standpoint, from what you're seeing,
right?
Even though he's been in the league a lot longer. And you know the truth, I'd give it for him. I'm not kidding you. I would actually give 3 number ones for Russell Wilson now.
Wow. Russell
even at this point in his career. Because you know what? He's not just a mobile quarterback. He can also pass from the pocket.
Correct. You're exactly right. And he has a proven track record.
He's a winner.
Right. He's a winner. He's a great guy in the community. And I'm kind of surprised to hear this. But then again, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I kind of wonder if
I've heard it too.
If Seattle was considering this, then basically full rebuild is on, and most likely Pete Carroll has seen his best days. He's gone because
without question. Without question. The only thing I don't like about Russell Wilson is that he went to Wisconsin. That's just like too close to Green Bay.
Right. Well, of course. You have to put that in there. I love it. All right. So percentage there. You think he gets traded in this offseason that's been talked about?
I'm going to say less than 20%. I don't think there's going to be any traction on it. That would be the writing on the wall. It would be a complete rebuild that would decimate that entire city.
I mean, and maybe they think their organization is so good they could go after one of these rookie quarterbacks. I don't know. Maybe they think Justin Fields. I don't know what they're
way too competitive a division out there in the West, in the NFC West.
Agree.
To have a rookie quarterback and say, yeah, I'm going to be successful. Now, let's just say they did want to, I mean, again, I don't know anything about this. Let's just say they did want to trade with the Chicago Bears, and Chicago put a package together for him, and then they sent them a Mitchell Trubisky. Well, now they still have a competitive football team. Not as competitive because he's not Russell Wilson.
Right.
But it's not like you're rebuilding all over again. But I can't see Seattle getting rid of him.
Does Russ have a point that he doesn't have enough weapons, that he doesn't have a running game? Is Russ looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady and seeing how basically this Buccaneer team, presented it and put out the red carpet for Tom Brady with giving him everything he wants? And here you got a guy that's won a Super Bowl for this organization, most likely would have been 2 if you run it to Marshawn Lynch. Does Russ have a point here where Seattle should basically be kind of bowing down to him after he signed an extension? Is the reason why he signed an extension is, once again, he was promised some type of control, and he's not getting that.
Very good point. And I'm going to bring up another point. Let's talk about what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Do you see Russell Wilson acting like that? You want to talk about someone who's getting the screws put to him? It's him. He's now on the other end of the pendulum of his career. He still has quite a few good years left in him. He's not as young as Deshaun Watson. You know what he's doing? He's taking the higher road. If it happens, it happens. And if there's going to be a negotiation, you're not going to hear it publicly from him. He may drop a couple of bombs, but he's not going to pull every card out in the world to try to get out of an organization.
It's good. It's a good point. It's the way a professional handles it, and it's a way that somebody that's young like Watson has handled it. It's not a good look, but again, there will be a team out there that's willing to take the chance on a Watson and possibly give up 2 first-round picks. I don't think they give up 3, but if you're Russell Wilson, I mean, you said 3.
I was exaggerating there. I was just trying to make a point that I would probably give more for a Russell Wilson than I would for a Deshaun Watson, even at this point in his career.
I think with the landscape right now of the way the NFL is, because of what the Bucs just did with Tom Brady, I think there would be a team that would overpay for a Russell Wilson. Is it overpaying to get 3 number ones? Not necessarily, but if you look at it at the end of the day, look at what the Rams did with Matt Stafford. Why did they do that? Because of the Brady effect. It's far-reaching. It's not just Tampa Bay. It's across the NFL. So would you be shocked or would you be disappointed if, say, your Bears decided to trade 2 first-round picks and a future first-round pick or a third-round pick and a player for a Russell Wilson? Yes or no?
No, I already told you. Let me speak on behalf of the Chicago Bears and Ryan Pace. I will give you this year's first-round draft pick, next year's first-round draft pick, and I'll give you Mitchell Trubisky for a third-round pick in return.
Okay.
Right now.
Wow. All right. I like it. All right. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and read these comments, and I think we'll wrap it up for the night. Brady would have a field day with OJ. Tim says 0%. I definitely think there's some percentage because it seems like there's frustration with Russell Wilson. And look, at the end of the day, Seattle got rid of all their personalities and all their great players. And Russ is looking at this. And this is why I don't understand. I get it. You have DK Metcalf and Lockett and, maybe Chris Carson when he's healthy. But overall, why wouldn't a quarterback ask out of this situation? And there was talk of him possibly getting traded to the Cleveland Browns just a couple of years ago. So Russell ain't leaving. He's just finally talking. He's tired of running. I get it. Christopher Cole says there was no bets on Suckup kicking the ball in the end zone during kickoffs because he doesn't kick off. Tim says, don't you think we need to draft a quarterback in this draft? Is it time to draft a quarterback? People keep on talking about. They talked about it last year. Is it this year you draft a quarterback after you sign Brady to an extension, or can you hold off another year?
I wouldn't hold off another year. I'd use my first-round pick this year.
At 32.
If one of those quarterbacks and one of the tier 2 quarterbacks like a Trask or my mind, it's a little late. My mind is not really functioning. Let's just say Kyle Trask falls down to 32.
Sure.
I grab him in a heartbeat. Let him sit a year or two behind Brady, and then away you go.
It's an interesting scenario that's been banned.
I'm going to bring something up. There was a former host on Buccaneer Report, and he was your co-host for quite a while. He also made comment about this earlier in the year about the run a quarterback ordeal here. It seems like the NFL is starting to do a lot more about it. I remember listening to one of your shows from before, and he's dead right. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially with the rental of quarterbacks. You couldn't be more correct than that. That really came to fruition. He says you're going to see a lot more and more of that as the season goes on and as the years go on, because people want to get better that quick. This is a copycat league. So they're going to think that Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson's the next Tom Brady. So if I'm going to bring him in here, I got a shot of going to the Super Bowl right now.
Well, which is kind of my point. Because here's the thing, you look at it from both directions, right? If you trade a Russell Wilson to a team, they're thinking they're trying to win the Super Bowl, right? We look at the Miami Dolphins. Let's say the Miami Dolphins wanted to give up a Tua to the Seattle Seahawks. Would they take it? Yes, they'd be rebuilding. Maybe they think they're better, or maybe they take a first-round pick and draft a Justin Fields because they think he's in the same mold.
Very interesting about Tua, because let me tell you something, very similar style player.
Right. But here's the thing. Russell Wilson gives Miami the opportunity to win a Super Bowl now. Seattle thinks they get better because they get younger, because they think they can duplicate the same success with the Kyler Murray. So you can look at this in two ways, and it's where Seattle wants to be. Do they think they're competitive enough against the Rams? They weren't. They were bad, and they were bad versus a backup quarterback and a defense. So maybe they're thinking in terms of, look, if we can get a young player to rebuild around a quarterback right now, or we think we can draft one like a Kyler Murray, because the Arizona Cardinals kind of put that blueprint out there, and we can get a couple first-round picks and rebuild this team with a young quarterback. Don't you think they would try to think about doing that?
Yes and no. Let's hit that other narrative real quick before we go. The Jackson from Baltimore, that started a couple of years ago, and then everybody started trying to follow that mold. And then you have the Kyler Murrays. And I think Kyler Murray, I'm going to tell you right now, I think he's regressed.
I agree.
This past year. And I think that Jackson has also regressed. The NFL, you're not going to reinvent the wheel. Let's go back about 10 years ago, and may even be longer than that, when they started running the Wildcat back in Miami. Everybody's like, wow, look at this new play. No, guys, this stuff was being ran back in the 20s and 30s, yes, 70, 80 years ago, in football. And all of a sudden they put that wrinkle in football, and all of a sudden you couldn't stop it. What happened? The NFL caught up to it. What happened when Chip Kelly went from Oregon to the Philadelphia Eagles? Anybody want to take a guess how deadly that offense was with that? Every down was you were in a hurry up offense. Don't give the defense a chance to rest. They're putting up 30, 40, 50 points a game. What happens?
People catch on to the tendencies.
You catch on to it. Now where's Chip Kelly? Was he making donuts at Krispy Kreme? I mean,
yes. I mean, that's
okay.
UCLA,
That's why I'm saying.
I think.
So quit trying to reinvent things.
Right.
That's it. Just quit trying to reinvent things. Everybody wants to be a copycat league. How'd that work out for you, Kansas City?
Well, you're exactly right. But again, Seattle may think they're going in a different direction at this point. We don't know. But I was surprised to hear that, because Russell Wilson is usually a guy that's tight-lipped, and this whole situation has been tight-lipped. And now what you hear is basically from former players, and even Brandon Marshall mentioned this on Fox Sports 1, that he was trying to calm Russell Wilson down, because Russell Wilson was upset about the way Pete Carroll was coaching and how this organization was going about taking care of him as their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, but he's always handled it as a professional too.
Correct. I mean,
he's not bashing. Oh, he's lied to me. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. And I'm not going to play. I'm demanding a trade. You have not heard that from a Russell Wilson.
No, but I tell you right now, if you thought about trading a quarterback 10 or 15 years ago, it would be nonsense. But now, with all the quarterback trades that have happened and all the quarterback movement that has happened the last couple of years, anything is out there, and free agency is starting in March. The only piece I want to add to this team is a veteran secondary star. Patrick Peterson would be my dream pickup. There's a chance with his connections to the team and hopefully willing to take less for a ring. And I talked about this. I get it. I understand the connections and everything like that. But at the end of the day, if you get a veteran guy like that, you take away from the playing time of Carlton Davis or Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean. They got their Patrick Petersons here. They're here already. Those three guys, you don't take any playing time away. So I'm
not giving my guy love out there. You know who I'm talking about. Why aren't you giving my boy love on that defense? He's a backup corner. Come on.
Sean Murphy-Bunting?
That's right, baby.
I love Sean Murphy-Bunting.
I told you in week 8 that kid was going to be a star.
And I told everybody at the time when they were saying, veteran cornerback and this and that, I said, look, give Sean Murphy-Bunting the opportunity to go out there and do what he can do. We know what he can do by being aggressive. Now, he definitely showed out, and he's got the body and he's got all the physical characteristics. He had to put it together mentally, and he did that in the postseason. So why in the world would you want to go out there and take playing time away? You have a Ross Cockrell. I mean, if you want to go pick up somebody like that and put him in there, that's fine. But don't take away from the playing time of these young corners, because they're all superstars. They're going to be all superstars at this point. They're only going to get better, Harry, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Orlando Brown from the Ravens, the right tackle. He wants to trade and wants to play left tackle. Would you right now trade Smith for Brown and save cap?
No.
Why?
Because his attitude already is that he doesn't want to shift around. The reason why he wants out of the Baltimore Ravens is because they want to shift him around and be versatile. First and foremost, the Bucs are a versatile line. They're going to play anybody at any position. So already you got a guy that has a terrible attitude that's not going to be versatile, so he's not buying into the team concept. Second, I think Donovan Smith definitely showed that he deserved that contract, and he played up to a high level. I'm going with continuity at that point. And I like the continuity of Donovan Smith being on that.
And that's another player that I defended the past 8 or 9 weeks was
Correct.
Donovan Smith. And all of a sudden, I didn't hear these Donovan Smith haters anymore.
Well, this is what you heard right here, Harry.
Well, yeah. And you know one of the reasons why for that is because you had Gronkowski helping on that left side.
Right.
You had Ronald Jones. You had Leonard Fournette. They were chipping. Just like any other really good left tackle in football,
sure.
They always get a little bit of help, especially when you pass the ball 30 and 40 times a game. I'm sorry, Peter. Go ahead and read through them.
No, you always need a little help from your friends, and that's the reason why I got my professional handicapper on here, Mr. Harry the Greek, Mr. 88%, going up to 89% because the guy's a freaking genius. I didn't get him off the freaking turn-up truck. Welcome to the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Guy has value. Everybody that's on this show has value. That's why I asked for your phone calls, because you have value. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. I sound like my dad at that point when I said the turn-up truck thing. I got that from my dad.
I just got off boat, senor.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. I mean, and I wasn't trying to be funny or something. I was just saying he knows what he's talking about, okay?
You know what? I got to go back to zero again.
Zero.
I just thought about that. The season's over. I hope I get a chance to handicap some baseball this year.
Well, let's do it. I mean, when we talk baseball on the show, though, there's not great results, especially when it comes down to the Tampa Bay Rays. In your opinion, would the Tampa Bay Rays be tough to handicap? I mean, I know we're getting off on a tangent.
No, depending. Honestly, I look for matchups. And
They add Chris Archer to it. They lose a Blake Snell. They lose a.
They got him cheap.
Yeah, I hate that.
Hang on.
I hate
little shout out. I got to give a shout out.
Yes.
My nephew has now signed with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Really?
Mr. Joey Kriebel. Joey was a sixth round draft pick out of Seminole High School with the Angels.
How about that?
Right out of high school, year 2, after bouncing around in single and double A, Arizona traded a pair of major leaguers for him, and he spent, 4 or 5 years in the minors, played double and triple A ball here, either bounced back and forth from Arizona to Alabama. For 3 straight years, he's a relief pitcher. He led the league in holds, Ks per inning, bounced up and down, left in the Rule 5 draft, signed with Minnesota last year. Due to COVID, didn't really get a chance. He just signed today with the Rays. His best friend is the center fielder. I keep forgetting his name, Brett Phillips.
Okay.
He went to high school with them. And just to let you guys know a little bit about Joey Kriebel, throws mid to upper 90s on every pitch in a devastating breaking ball. I mean, devastating.
It sounds like a Rays pitcher. That sounds exactly like a Rays pitcher. What I was going to say is, with losing all those pitchers, would it be out of the realm of possibility that the Rays take a step back?
Yes. And I'll tell you why, because they did nothing in the offseason right now to upgrade their sticks. And that's what this team was needing. They had the pitching to do it. They had the young arms to do it in the bullpen. But in typical Rays fashion, you just spend the least amount of money for what you got. You bring some of the best players around, and right when they become good and their contract is up, they get rid of you and they bring the next guy up.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate the way this team thinks.
I do too. Do I think they're going to go backwards? Probably not. They're still going to be an extremely competitive team, because a lot of these teams in the East, I mean, just in baseball period, have never seen these guys before. They're not like the same product that you keep pushing forward.
Right. And if you're not familiar with Brett Phillips, by the way, he's the one that got the big hit in game 4 to tie it up? Yep. There you go. At a Seminole High. So, all right. Enough of baseball. We'll get off to that. Congratulations, my friend. Again, Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, a part of the Bucs Report family. All right. And clearly I didn't mean to say Alberto. My feelings are kind of hurt now. Tim, I know you're joking around. We need a successor so we don't waste this young defense. Trask, Tim says, I just want to say thanks, guys. I love it. Go Bucs. Champs. Absolutely. Tim, thanks a lot for Mike says, couldn't agree more with Trask. Pick that kid. He has the it factor. A lot of Gator fans here, but Trask did play well. He did. Although in the bowl game, he played awful because he was missing all of his weapons. So I don't know if that goes against him. Maybe that knocks him down to a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Does anyone know? Will you shut up and be quiet with that?
Because I know you're a Knowles fan, Peter. Here you go, baby.
That will get you kicked off my show just like that.
Chomp, baby, chomp. Oh, God.
Does anyone know why Giselle wasn't at the parade today? No, I didn't keep track of Instagram or Twitter to find that out. Sorry. We need Peterson. We got We got them. We don't need Peterson, says Tim. Okay. And yes, crickets laugh out loud. So, with that being said, your final thoughts, my friend.
My final thoughts, what a season. And I have to tell you, from an outsider looking in, first off, thank you, Buck Report, and thanks for Bucs Nation for inviting me in. Okay. When I'm saying Buck Nation, I'm not talking about the other site. I'm talking about the actual Buccaneer Nation.
Right.
I've been down in Florida for many, many years. I seen everybody going, I don't know if we're good enough. Oh my God, I don't know if we're good enough. Are we going to get by Washington? You're Super Bowl champions. Be proud of it. Stay on top of that hill. Keep rooting for your team. Support your local teams as well. Support the Rays. Support the Lightning. Support the Buccaneers. But most of all, support your family, support yourself, and love yourself as well. Have a really good night.
There you go. Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper, ending it off like he always ends it off strong on the mic. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. Yes.
Keep your bets low and your returns high.
You should say that on the microphone there, that thing you do. I like that. Ready?
Keep your returns low, and your bets high. Just the opposite.
All right, good stuff, Harry the Greek. Appreciate you, buddy. There you go. Good stuff as always. So with that being said, I think we'll just wrap it up here. Thanks to the great Ricky Reynolds and, of course, Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper. And, of course, all your calls. Has it hit you yet? We'll see if we'll be back on Friday night. I'm not sure, but I think we will. We'll have a show here live on Bucs Report on the Advanced Auto Parts Sports Web early on this Thursday morning. Has it hit you yet? If it hasn't, go ahead and text me, and I will text you back, and it will hit you then. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, and we'll see you on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. Have a good night.
Here's Brady's pass.
There's more to come as far as football. Yeah, we're coming back. We're coming back. Coming back. Tom Brady's coming back.
I think we knew this was going to happen now, didn't we? The Tampa Bay Bucs, Super Bowl 55 champions.
Wait, don't.